What is up, Rotogrinders? Dean here. Dean04. That is your daily fantasy handle. Hopefully, we're going to be at the top of some MLB contest going down tonight. Nice to see the slates coordinate. DK and Fanduel both have an 8-gamer starting around, 705, 710, 707, somewhere in that range. Going to be here for the next, at least Rotogrinders. This team is going to be here for the first hour and a half. We'll hand it off to Crunch Time. Crunch Time, of course, free all season long. Y'all get Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. STL Cards tonight, and the CEO of the Bat, Derek Carty. Hey, Andre, what's going on, dude? How are things in your world? How do we like tonight's slate? I was going to throw something your way, but I'll hold it off for a second. But yeah, what's up, Andre? How are things? Things good?
Things are great. Just came back in from California. Had a great time. I'm ready to get back to the grind and win some money.
What was out in Cali? Just a vacation or what?
Coachella. So I went to Coachella.
Oh, what'd you see? Well, give me the highlights. How'd that go down?
It was my first time, so overall it was a good experience. Feet hurt, but other than that, it was great.
Do you remember most of it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Didn't Kanye backed out at the last second, right? Wasn't he supposed to be on it, and he wasn't on it at the end?
Yeah, which was very disappointing.
Was that one of the reasons why you went out there?
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to go see another artist. When I was playing before the show started, I went to go see him too, which was Kendrick Lamar's little cousin, and he came out too, so that was amazing. Videos on my YouTube if you want to go look at it.
Oh, check it out. It's in the desert, right? Isn't it in the middle of a desert?
Coachella? Yeah, it is. It's amazing. You get that Coachella cough. It wasn't as cold this year though. It was an amazing experience. I can't wait to go back next year and do it again though.
Yeah. I've been to Woodstock, which is, I imagine, a similar type atmosphere.
It's over by me.
What's that?
It's over by me. My neck of the woods.
Yeah, Saugerties, New York?
Yep, I live not too far from there.
There you go. Yeah, shout out to Woodstock so many years ago. I was a child, though, when I was there. What Keith, did you go to Coachella? How are things in your world? I guess you did not go to Coachella.
I did not go to Coachella. Nope. Things are good here. I don't get the returning champ moniker today.
I blew it. Oh, you're right. Take two. Are we live? We're gonna do it. We're doing it live. Yeah, that's it. It's over. Yeah. What's up, Keith? You are the returning champion. For no other reason, by default, because who was here with us yesterday? I'm so forgetful. Whoever Chopper was. Master pronunciations. He's got a day off. Well, what's up, Keith? How are things going for you?
Good. Just updating a couple of rankings here. This Houston lineup came out and not quite what we expected. So I was on Houston a good amount and probably going to have to decrease my exposure to them a little bit.
It's funny because I slid into Dave Potts's DMs earlier today and I was like, is there a reason why we're projecting Tucker to lead off? Because that's one of these big gripes that I've been yelling about all. Why is he batting 6th? He's really, really good. I know God forbid you go left, whatever. And we were projecting him leading off. I'm like, that's weird. What's going on? He's like, well, I don't know. But that's what we're projecting for somebody for some reason. And I guess Dusty Baker's like, well, we can't have that. we can't let this guy lead off. So let's just kick him out of the lineup. And also, he's been kind of slow starter this year. He banged out a homer. He's probably feeling pretty good about himself. And now he's out of the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, Dusty.
Look, who am I to pretend I know more about baseball than Dusty Baker? He's forgot more than I'll ever know. But still. That's kind of a bummer. Fanduel made him 2.7, which is just insane. He's 4.1 on DK, and he was my one of the guys I wrote up today in my expert survey. So yeah, that expired. Don't play him now. And you said the Astros all together because Gurriel's not playing, and I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. JJ Matijevic is going to play some baseball tonight for Houston. He hasn't played very much the majors. Yeah, Siri, McCormick is leading off. Yeah. You were on the Astros, and now you're kind of falling off a little bit, basically, is the moral of the story.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'll still play them. I love Alvarez. Going to play some Bregman as well, but I don't know about the full stack now. Just not as much punch in that lineup. Brantley's underpriced, so I do like that 3-man. But yeah, it falls off pretty quickly.
Yes.
When you make stacks, right? Or you click the use lineup HQ, you click the only in stacks button. Where does Brantley lie? Because he's one of those guys that, like, I hate saying upside, but like theoretically it's like a good baseball upside, but he's also one of those guys that probably is not homering twice. Is he an only in stacks guy, or you'll play him like a la carte?
It's dependent upon ownership. If he's popular that day, he's definitely an only in stacks guy. But if he's going to be pretty unowned, like today, I don't think we're projecting much ownership for him. I don't mind him a la carte today.
Yeah, McCormick, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Diaz, Matajevic, Pena, Castro, Siri. Obviously no Altuve. We talked about no Tucker, no Gurriel. It's kind of a spotty lineup there for Houston. I believe the roof is going to be open in Texas, for what it's worth. Andre, what are your thoughts as far as the slate? Of course, we're going to break it down as far as our pitchers, favorite stacks, favorite players, position by position, go around the horn. I got a fun little game prepared for Roth in our crossover, our crosstalk. They talked about it yesterday. They kind of had some fun with it. And I was like, wait, it's a short slate. There's no weather, as far as I can tell. There's nothing going on weather-wise. We got a few minutes to kill. So we're going to play baseball player or super villain. So you want to stay tuned for that. See how good Roth is. Roth knows his basketball. He doesn't know his baseball very well, but that's what we'll be doing around 6:25 or so, give or take. What do you have, Andre, as far as this slate where, it's an 8-gamer. There's some your Yankees came alive. Did they chalk yesterday?
No, one of my friends, shout out to John. He took down actually the FanDuel seat yesterday, and
nice.
he had a Yankee stack. So, and I asked him if they were chalk yesterday. He said no, they were not. So that's the one thing I'm scared about today, because I liked them today, but they are chalky today. And you know what happens when they're chalky? They tend to fail.
Oh, Are you close enough friends with John that you have a chance as a worst case scenario at a +1 scenario?
If he gets more than one seat, I'll probably get a +1, but he's gonna bring his wife with him, I know. So
there you go. You're in the power rankings. You're just not number one necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll get my seat there as well, so we'll be there together.
There you go. And I'm not sure if you saw it, and I was just bitter about it, but Anthony Rizzo had the worst 3-homer game of all time. I'm so upset about this. I didn't play him yesterday. You can't tell.
Well, I was like, how is it worse? He had a single, a double, and then a triple homer. You can see the grand slam to top it off.
No. Rizzo had 3 homers, but they weren't homers. They were homers, but they weren't homers in any other ballpark. Like one of them had like an expected batting average of like 20. It was like a 315-foot pop-up down, whatever, 319, 320. Keith, you know what I'm talking about here, Keith? Did you see these home runs?
Yeah, he didn't crush any of them, but he ended up with 3 home runs. So
yeah, got the home run, they got the win.
The horn went off, like he ran around the bases. It was the first time ever in the StatCast era where a dude hit 3 home runs and they averaged less than 350 feet, and I think it was well less than 350 feet. But they counted, and I didn't play him. And I had Yankees, but not Rizzo. I finally had Gallo. I've been martingeling that key.
Finally. I get too much of him sometimes.
All the time. I hate Joey Gallo because he's so cheap, and I told allegedly he's got a lot of power in Yankee Stadium, yada yada. But Key, did you have Gallo yesterday?
I did have a little bit, yeah. I was light on the Yankees overall, though, so didn't work out well.
Yeah, same story for me. As far as the slate tonight, it's DFS. All we care about is tonight only. Andre, we have your Yankees are once again in play. Atlanta's in play at Toronto-Boston game. Both sides of it kind of interesting. Neither pitcher particularly good. My off-the-board team is the Marlins. I tried to make them happen yesterday. It didn't really. I think maybe they'll happen today. We'll see. What's your general assessment as far as this slate from a hitting perspective?
Yeah, well, I really was liking the Houston Astros a lot until I saw their lineup, just like Keith. So I have to find a different approach now. But I'm gonna try. Like I don't know what to do with the Yankees either. I want to play them. I love them a lot today, like I said before. So, but I know they're gonna be chalky. So I'm gonna probably be more inclined to go with one of these lower end teams, a team like Atlanta, who's in a great spot today as well. I do like Texas a little bit too. In Minnesota, if they weren't playing in like a little bit, I think the weather's a little bit bad in Minnesota today. Otherwise, I would be probably all over them today a little bit more. But other than that, I'm just going to probably try to focus on those specific teams. Still will get some Houston stacks, probably a lot more mini stacks than anything now. And I do kind of like going a little bit, little tiny bit of the Angels today.
Just seeing the YouTube chat. What up, YouTube chat? Hey, Ravens fan. Yeah, dude, I did catch that smell very early at a young age. I knew it was going on there when I was hanging out at Woodstock. I was going to go ahead and drop this weather link, the free weather link in chat, but unfortunately, I popped the chat out, but I'm not signed in, so I don't think I can do it. Maybe producer Steve can handle it for the people, but yeah, everything is green as far as weather-wise. No concerns for precipitation. If I'm pulling up the weather edge, you're talking about, Andre, as far as different places having potentially good spots to hit baseballs or bad spots to hit baseballs.
Yes.
Let's see, kind of scrolling on through. Like the Yankees, it's a 4-game sample, so nothing we can do with that really. The Nationals 18-game sample, it's not positive. It's 55 degrees, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit souring the Marlins, but I still kind of like them just because you never know. And I think there's some cheap guys, and Fetty's one of the weaker pitchers, taking the mound, and of course they're in a big ballpark jump as opposed to their home field. Atlanta, we don't have a big sample. Minnesota, we have a 3-game sample. We need bigger samples. The only one we have is a big sample as far as is the Angels, where it's basically neutral as far as how it plays out there. 400 game sample where home runs down 4%, runs are up about 2%. Giants, the wind is blowing out like 19 miles per hour, but they did build that stadium with trying to subdue wind as much as possible. Slight bump according to Weather Edge. You see anything, Keith, there as far as weather? Or, we don't have a lot of samples to work with, but I guess we kind of might have to use our brain on some things where it's cold in Minnesota. So I assume that's bad for hitting baseballs.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And that's part of why the samples are so small, is because baseball oftentimes is played in warmer weather. But there are a lot of chilly temperatures out there, 40s in Minnesota, 50s in a lot of other places. So definitely not the greatest weather for hitting tonight. That does make me want to look at some of the warmer spots like Texas and Los Angeles. But yeah, just with offense down overall this year, I think the weather is important also to look at, even when like we don't have any rain to deal with, but we've got some cold temperatures out there for sure.
Current weather in Arlington, where I guess Texas is going to have that roof open. It's like in the 70s or so, the mid 70s. And I'm not sure what it's going to be later. We'll get an hour by hour deal. I'm sure Roth will give you guys some better clarity on that, but just kind of note that the roof is open in Texas. All right, let's talk about pitchers taking the mound tonight. I think the best, option if he was going to throw the same amount of pitches as everybody else is Shohei Ohtani. Still might be the best. Andre Ohtani, especially on DK, on Fanduel, a little bit, you can argue about him against him a little bit because he's the most expensive over there. DK is not. Also on Fanduel, less likely to get the quality start than probably a couple other people, just because his pitch count has been around 80 or so, but he's been incredibly efficient with those 80 pitches so far this season, at least in a couple starts where he struck out 12 with 80 pitches, which is just kind of hard to do, but he did it. Let's start with Ohtani. Andre, what do you think of Shohei?
I think he's the best overall pitcher on the slate. It's hard to get away from him. And I think he's definitely worth the price on DK at 9K for sure. But on FanDuel at 10.5, he's worth it definitely, but I might want to try to pivot a little bit down. Even though I know I shouldn't want to. Pitching should be more of a priority, especially with the way the weather is right now. Because the strikeouts are up this year through the first couple starts he's had, and his walks are down tremendously. So, to me, it makes me want to roster a lot of them. But I do have another pitcher I do like a little bit. I'm just worried about how far is he going to go into the game. But I think he gave me a decent score, hopefully, especially going against the team he's scoring against.
He is getting 7 days rest. I don't know if they always give him that much rest, but And I know like in Japan, traditionally they pitch like once a week. That's probably what the kind of regimen he was on over there too. And I don't know. I feel like they might have like snuck a day here and a day there in seasons past. Is that true, Keith? I think that's true, right? They've always tried to like give Ohtani an extra day here.
Yes, I believe that is true. Yep.
Yeah, but this is 2 extra days, right? So like typically, you get you pitch every 5th day sometimes in the majors. Well, it depends, 5th or 6th, depending on if you're playing every single day. But this is 7 days off or so. We last pitched on the 20th. What is your concerns or what is your thoughts as far as those potential concerns? He also has, for whatever it's worth, an extreme hitters umpire. Like Andre said, 44.1% as far as strikeouts this year is incredible. Of course, that's a small sample. The walks have been down as well at 6.8%. Just amazing, awesome, electric, whatever adjective you want to use. That if he continues like even being like 90% of that or 80% of that going forward, how are you prioritizing Ohtani? And do you see it differently based upon Fanduel versus DK?
I don't see it differently. He's the clear best option on the slate, much like Rodon was yesterday. He's in a tier of his own. He just has the most strikeout upside by a long shot. Sure, the pitch count is concerning. I don't know if it's a hard cap of 80. I believe 81 is the highest he's been up to today. You'd like to see him get into that 85, 90 range, but with that huge strikeout rate, I'm fine with 80 pitches, even at 10K, over 10K on FanDuel. Decent matchup against Cleveland, doesn't really stand out one way or the other, but it's just the skills of Ohtani. You touched on the walk rate. That's a huge deal for helping him get a little bit deeper into this game. Has had a walk rate around 10% the last couple of years. So to see that come down and him harness the control a little bit, that's a big deal. So I'm all in on Ohtani today.
Yeah, and it's a hitters umpire, extreme hitters umpire. Does that matter? Like again, it's something, and I don't know how to quantify that, right? And like he seems like one of those guys where it might matter a little more for him than others.
I think last year that was definitely the case with that walk rate around 10%. But if he is going to be more in that 6 or 7% walk rate, I don't think it's as big of a deal. But something to pay attention to. He's still my favorite on the slate, though. I mean, we can talk about Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan as pivots, but Ohtani's a clear tier ahead of them for me.
Give me the pivots. Who's your second favorite among? You mentioned Lopez, a little pricier. Montgomery versus Baltimore is kind of cheap. Joe Ryan, another guy they don't necessarily unleash him for like 100 pitches or so. Still a young arm, but he looks well positioned there against Detroit. Do you have a favorite amongst those three when you consider all the factors?
I mean, Joe Ryan, I think, is the most talented of the bunch. But I dug into him today a little bit, targeting his strikeout prop in my article for Scores and Odds. It's free over in the news section there. He has a much lower K rate to left-handed batters. Detroit has 4 left-handed batters in the lineup today. Haas is in there for Barnhart, who hits from the left side. So that does help Ryan a little bit. But he has just struck out only 11% of left-handed batters this season. So I don't think there's quite as much upside here as I traditionally would. I love Joe Ryan. I think he's an excellent pitcher, huge strikeout guy in the minors, has translated that really well to the majors. He's been around 30% strikeouts. Detroit is a team we typically think of as striking out a lot, but I think you do need to pay attention to the handedness of the lineup with Joe Ryan. I broke it down in the article very in-depthly if you want to go check it out, but he uses his slider over 40% to righties. And then to lefties, he barely throws it at all. I believe it was down around 6%. So he's more of a changeup curveball guy to lefties, and he just doesn't record the same amount of strikeouts.
Is it called icebreakers or ice? Might pronounce that is
icebreakers. Yeah.
Okay. So I see 426. Why don't I see 427? Is 427 not posted, or am I just a schmuck?
Should be up there.
I'm a schmuck. That's what you're saying. Oh, there it is. It's got a big old picture up top. That's what it is.
The feature. Yeah, there you go.
I didn't realize you were featured. Okay, there it is. Feel free to check that out. And I guess we can go ahead. Producer Steve, feel free to drop that into the chat for the people. Get some eyes on that. Of course, there's a lot of content and Scores and Odds that's premium, but this happens to be free for the people. Oh, also something else that's free. If you're playing PGA DFS, if you're dabbling in it this week, TJ has his premium PGA value breakdown. That is free for everybody today. I assume the golf starts on Thursday as it standardly does. I don't play golf, but I would imagine that's what's going on. So feel free to check that out. Rotogrinders.com. Check out the value plays according to TJ this week for golf. Andre, what do you think as far as that next tier, right? Montgomery a little bit cheaper there on your Yankees. We're talking about Lopez against Washington. Looks like pretty good pitching weather as well. He's been off to a phenomenal start so far this season. And then we have Joe Ryan. Do you have a preference amongst those three? How would you rank them?
Who's the last? You said Joe Ryan, Montgomery, and who else?
Lopez for Miami.
Okay, Pablo Lopez. Okay. I like Pablo Lopez, but his price is too close to Shohei Ohtani. I love the match against Washington. There's a lot of strikeouts in that lineup, in my opinion. I'm going to use some of him too today. I'm going to use pretty much all these. Like I have only like 5 pitches in my player pool. I'm going to use them all today, definitely for sure. But some more than others, obviously. But I like Pablo Lopez because, like I said, there's a lot of strikeouts in the Washington lineup. There's only 3 guys I'm really worried about in that lineup. More so 2, I guess, or 1, because the other 2 more so just do a lot of swing and missing, in my opinion. But I think he's a great strikeout pitcher. I think he has upside against this Washington lineup to be also the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. But a guy I do like, I know that they do hit sometimes, well, pretty decently. And I know we got to worry about him, how deep he's going to go into the game, is Jordan Montgomery, just because he's going to against Baltimore. Obviously we know that Baltimore, their lineup is not the strongest, but it's not the best, but they do have a lot of strikeouts in it. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys with at least 25% strikeout rate or higher. A few guys you have to really worry about. But Montgomery also pitches really well to lefties at the same as well. So that also adds a bonus. So really you have to really worry about mainly 2 guys. As well as because he can pitch well to righties as well, but the strikeout rate is also high with those righties on the team. So I like him a lot today. I think I'm going to try to get as much as I possibly can of him, just because it's Baltimore in a matchup, and obviously the weather in New York it's okay. It's not the best hitting weather in my opinion. Well, it's a good hitting weather today, but I don't know. I don't know how many runs Baltimore's going to put up today, and he gets an easy matchup in my opinion. Like the last time he played Baltimore, I know he only went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, I believe, 3 hits, and only had 21 fantasy points. But I think we can see this guy. I think last year he had a pretty decent game, if I remember correctly. I want to say he had like a 10 strikeout game. I want to say against Baltimore last year. Oh, it was 12 Ks actually. I just found it right now. 12 K strikeout game against Baltimore last year. So the upside is there for him. I like taking my chances on him, especially if he's only going to be 10% owned. So I'll be like double the field on that, and try to get a lot of exposure to him. I would go with Joe Ryan, but I feel like the price is just a little bit too high. We know he has talent and the upside going against Detroit. It's just that it just concerns me with the price, and when I can just pay a little bit cheaper for someone else who I think has just what strikeout upside as him in this because of the matchup. And Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, you see that Baltimore lineup, man. There are a lot of Ks in there. McKenna drawing the start, also at the bottom of the lineup, 26.6% striking out versus lefties collectively. That's a big old number. Montgomery's not this awesome strikeout pitcher, but he's pretty good, 24.1%. And like you said, he's pretty neutral as far as his splits, 24% versus lefties, 24 against righties. Gives up a little bit more power to righties, which, not terribly surprising. But that lineup is not all that imposing, as far as I can tell.
Mountcastle was scratched. That's a pretty big deal. I thought Mountcastle matched up really well against Montgomery. So him getting removed from the lineup, I think, was a nice little boost for Montgomery.
Is that why McKenna's in there? Is he jumping in for Mountcastle? Is that what I missed? Because
Yep,
it's
I think
Mullins,
so.
Mancini, Santander, Hayes, Urias, Chirinos, Owings, Mateo, and McKenna. So yeah, that seems like a significant downgrade for sure. All right. I see in the chat, the nice guy, I'm a nice guy, is asking about Plesac as a contrarian play. Keith, how many lineups you playing today? Just yet?
Yeah, I'll run the usual 20.
Do you think Plesac cracks this 20? Is he getting in the conversation?
I don't think so, and it's just because of the price tag. There's just not enough strikeout upside. There is a guy down here, a little bit lower even, that I am going to try to get a little bit weird with.
All right. Who's that guy?
Eric Fetty. I don't love it. 7,300 though against a high strikeout Marlins team. Just looking for a pivot in this range. I do like Charlie Morton as well, but he's carrying a good amount of ownership. So I want to get away from that a little bit with my SP2. So I'm going to mix in some Fetty just because of the matchup.
Yeah, if I pull up my rankings or even the consensus rankings today, I think I had Fetty 6. Like I like the Marlins, but I also think Fetty, like I think he definitely could shut him down. The weather, not a great ballpark, but the weather looks pretty good for pitching as well. So I don't mind that as the cheap guy. I think he's my favorite cheap guy amongst the bunch. Morton is pretty cheap too. I think I already talked about him. A little more ownership, I would imagine. Nobody likes the roster Fetty, like you said, but their Marlins lineup does come with a ton of strikeouts. Love Jazz, but like he strikes out almost 30% against righties. Sanchez, Soler are big strikeout guys. Abasael Garcia, collectively looking at 23% or so. And it's mostly, there's three lefties in there, 6 righties, if my math is correct. And he strikes out righties at 24.3%. So that's actually pretty good. Andre, you have a take as far as Fetty?
I don't have him today. I was thinking if I should get to him, I might put him back in here just because it's Miami. What concerns me is that he's only gone five innings the first 2 times and then 3 innings the last time, and the last time he didn't pitch well against Arizona, so it kind of concerns me a little bit. I don't know. I'm indifferent on him a little bit. I'm gonna have to dig into it a little bit more to see if I really get to him, but I feel fine with getting a lot more of Montgomery because I'm playing this mainly on FanDuel today. So
Yeah.
7,300. I mean, going to 7,800 to 7,300 is not that big of a difference. And I think with 7,800, you get pretty much almost any bat you want still. And that's already a pivot also off of Charlie Morton, who's coming around. We have him coming around like 22%, 21. So compared to Montgomery at 10. So I feel like I might have enough leverage there to begin with.
Can you make the nice guy in chat feel happy about the prospect of rostering Plesac? Or I'm not really on it. There are some strikeouts in the Angels lineup, assuming that's a projected lineup is there. But Plesac's obviously not a big strikeout guy.
I like
60%. Say it again.
I like the Angels today, so I can't.
Okay, yeah. So it's not. I have a hard time getting there. I see Stan in chat is asking about Jacob Junis. We're assuming. I think he's going to be the long man, right? He's going to be coming in. That's for the Giants today against Oakland. That is the projection. Sam Long is opened a couple times. He's really cheap, Keith. I think this is more of a DK question than a FanDuel question. I don't know what he has on FanDuel, but obviously you have no shot at getting the quality start. You're not even starting the game. You have a better chance of getting the W probably because you'll probably be around 5th, 6th inning, that kind of thing. The A's are bad. Junis, I believe, threw 60 or so pitches last time out coming out of the bullpen. Is that something we need to care about, or is it's unnecessary, Keith?
I think he's in play. I don't mind it if you want to do it. It was 61 pitches. He did get 5 innings in those 61 pitches. So a very nice outing for him against Washington last time out. But there's so many value bets on DK that I don't like going this low. I don't hate it though. I think he's a fine option and he's in play.
Yeah, Kevin just tuning in, I suppose, asking about Ohtani. We all love Ohtani. Like he looks like the best play. And then of course variants and baseball things happen. Don't really care if he only throws 85 pitches or so. They're asking about the Montgomery pitch count concerns. Like Andre, I think he's priced for his pitch count, right? Montgomery, because, when he threw 85 last time. He's slowly kind of worked his way up there. He's not going to throw 100, but I think he's fine, right? As far as the pitch count, you're not going to find many guys go today for 105 or 110 pitches.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,500 is appropriately his price, especially with the pitch count the way it is right now currently. So that doesn't concern me at all. It's baked into the price, and I look for him to at least, hopefully, if he's striking these guys out, go at least 6 innings and maybe get pulled in the middle of the 6th or after the 6th.
Yeah, Dean, you made a really good point there about pretty much the whole slate where most of the guys are going to be in that 85 pitch range. I think with the exception of Pablo Lopez, who threw 100 last time out, everybody's going to be in that range.
And people aren't playing Lopez, and he also, you can argue, is like the second most skilled pitcher on this slate. And Washington's lineup on Honor is talking about 3 guys to be afraid of. Maybe went 2, at least 1. I don't know who else.
I say 1. Like the one guy I really would be afraid of is just Juan Soto. John Bell and Nelson Cruz, they're going to swing and probably miss a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Let's pull up the ownership. What do we have as far as Lopez's ownership? Because in my brain, I feel like he's kind of being ignored.
He's like 6% on FanDuel.
They've got him 6.7 on DK.
Wait, why is he 8.2? So one of us has to hit refresh. Let's see. We've done an ownership update. Either way, if it's 8 or if it's 6, I think the point still stands, right, Keith? Like, I think you should probably have more than 6% if you're mass multi-ending of Lopez.
Yes, he would be my preferred pivot over Joe Ryan off of Ohtani, or even playing him with Ohtani is possible too. And they're both expensive, but we're going to talk about plenty of value bets, as I alluded to.
Blackburn's been good, but I don't know if I want to pick on San Fran necessarily. It's a good ballpark to pitch in, but he's also like not cheap. 8 on DK, 8.2 on FanDuel. I don't know. You guys buying the resurgence of Black? I know his velocity's been up. Are we buying this, Keith, or maybe just check back in 5 days?
Check out that article. It's in there too.
I didn't get a chance to read it.
Yeah, no, the velocity is up for Paul Blackburn, almost 2 miles an hour on his fastball and his curveball. So I am buying the resurgence in Ks, or I guess he never has been a strikeout guy. He's been around like 15% for most of his career, and he is up to 25% early through his first 3 starts. So I'm disappointed that DraftKings adjusted his price so quickly. It makes him difficult to play because he's priced about appropriately. And like you said, San Francisco is not a team I like to pick on. But I am buying the 25%-ish Ks. I think that's real.
Yeah, I think
hammer the over on 3.5 strikeouts for Blackburn today.
That's a kind of a soft number. 3.5.
It is very soft. Yep. I don't think the books have adjusted correctly yet.
I like that. That's a good bet. We were talking about some bets pre-show, and over 3.5. Is that still out there? Is that something you got early? Still lurking?
I believe it's still out there. I haven't checked in a couple hours, but it was definitely there when the article got published a couple hours ago.
Andre, you have a take on Blackburn?
Sorry, I'm looking for that bet right now. but honestly, I think it's 3.5. Yeah, it's over 3.5 plus 105 on Caesars. It's a good number to take. I like him, but like I said, I'm not gonna pick on San Francisco today. I can't do it. So it's gonna be. I like taking a prop bet, and that's what I would keep it at. I would not dare try to take it with fantasy just for today.
We don't have a San Fran lineup just yet, right? Obviously, it's a West Coast game, so they still have plenty of time. Yeah, not just yet. Projected lineup though, there's definitely some Ks in there. If especially if you get Bart to bat there as far as catchers, 48% striking out. Small sample, like 43 at bats, but still, that's a big old number. We got to talk about Charlie Morton, who's got a really high ownership projection on DK, Keith. 40% for Charlie Morton. I like Charlie Morton. That seems a little high. Is that a little high?
It's a little high, especially if you look at what he's done this year. Charlie Morton is an old guy, and we've been waiting for the skills to decline for several years now. He is under 20% Ks. It's only 3 starts. I'm not saying that he's completely washed up. I still think that the curveball is elite. Pretty good command guy, but the strikeouts are down this year, just worth noting. So I will be under the field on Charlie Morton.
Yeah, 38 years old. A couple more years, he'll be a man. There are some strikeouts. I'm looking at there are definitely some strikeouts in that Chicago lineup. Who knows what Suzuki's going to be, but so far he's striking out a good bit, also smashing it when he's hitting the ball. Contreras, Wisdom strikes out a ton. So there are some Ks there collectively. There's also some contact guys as well, with like Ortega leading off and Madrigal. 22.9% collectively. So there, some Ks. And if you stretch back to last year, 28.1% strikeouts, which is really good. Obviously, like you said, this year not working out like the way he wants to, a small sample size. Maybe he's getting old. Maybe it's a small sample. Who knows? We'll see. Anything else lurking in the chat? I feel like we talked about basically Pineda revenge game. I'm not rostering Pineda. You guys rostering Pineda? I'm not doing it.
No chance. One guy I do have slight interest in, Christian Javier at 7K on DK as SP2. Don't mess with it on FanDuel. But concerns about the pitch count for sure. But a talented pitcher, price is all right. And if we're not expecting anybody else to really get over 85 pitches, he might be in play.
I think it's his first start of the season. He's kind of been there long, man. You're begging for like 70 pitches.
Yep.
55, 53 his last 2 times out. He has not pitched since the 20th. So, he's well rested. We'll give him that. Maybe he gets to 70, 75. Like the general rule is like you kind of spike up by 15, possibly 20. So yeah, and like you said, if nobody does amazing and you just want to get your 15 points, okay, he could be fine. Andre, you got anything else as far as pitchers or a thought on Javier?
No.
All right, give me the summary, Keith. Somebody's just tuning in right now. They missed the first 30 minutes or so. Summarize the pitchers on this 8-gamer. How are we attacking it?
All right, Shohei's the clear top option in a tier of his own for me. Definitely going to try to get over the field, even though that's a huge ownership number on him. Jordan Montgomery is the guy I would look to next. Nice price on him on both sites for me. I think Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez are viable pivots in that top range. I don't like the ownership number on Ryan. I think the upside's a little bit capped with his pitch count and his strikeout splits. So I prefer Lopez there. Charlie Morton is in a fine spot, good matchup against the Cubs, but don't love the ownership number on that either. So if you're trying to get weird, also in the lower range, you can dabble with Fetty or Christian Javier.
Andre, as of right now, who's the one you're taking the biggest stand on? Well over, well underweight as far as your pitchers?
I'm going to be well over on Jordan Montgomery. Also well over on Pablo Lopez, but that's not that hard to get over on. And well under on Charlie Morris, as he's going to be popular. Probably the second most popular pitcher on FanDuel today.
In my head, I'm having you playing FanDuel and having Keith playing DK. That's correct, right? Mostly I think I have that right?
Yeah.
That's what you guys are concentrating? Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Yeah, Lopez 6% on FanDuel. I did the refresh, and that I know he's 10.4K, and he's essentially the same price as Ohtani 10.5K. But yeah, I mean, there's a better than a 1 in 5 chance if you want to do the math this way. Ohtani's 25% owned projection, Pablo at 6%. I'll take a greater than 20% chance that Lopez outscores Ohtani. I'm kind of fudging the numbers a little bit, Keith, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yep, I'm there with you. I like that as a pivot.
All right, let's talk about the sticks. Let's talk about the stacks before we kind of go around the horn and give our favorite plays. Somebody asking in chat about the Red Sox as a potential stack. I think they're in the conversation. 16 teams playing. Andre, who are some of your favorite stacks? Who are the ones you're going to be loading up on? And also, I assume you're doing, you're making a MMing, so you're going to have some kind of rules. Well, what are the rules tonight? You're going to make sure you get in 3 and 3, 4 and 4. Is that the way you like your stacks, or are you a little bit more open to possibly, one-offs and 3-3-2s and stuff like that?
It's an 8-game slate, so today I'm going to run 4 3s, 4 2s, and some 3 3s mainly. That's what I typically tend to run. Unless it's something funky where there's not a lot of teams that I feel like are in great positions to hit. I think we had a slate like that earlier this year, and then I would run a lot more 3 2s or 3 3s and just have a couple of the one-offs. But I'll tend to get more of the 4 bands along with like I said with the secondary of either 3 or 2 today.
I don't know who the Rockies are playing or when they're playing, but if you guys are playing on that slate, Brendan Rodgers was just scratched. So there you go. Just throwing it out there. Not on the main slate, Colorado. How about yourself, Keith? You make your 20 lineups. Do you have any sort of rules? How flexible are they tonight?
I almost exclusively use 5-man stacks, and that's what I'll do again tonight. I don't need it to be a 5-3, though. I'm perfectly fine running a 5-man stack and 3 one-offs.
Some of your favorite stacks? Who are they?
I think the Yankees are clearly the top. Tyler Wells isn't going to go deep into the game. The middle of that Baltimore bullpen, Baltimore bullpen has actually been pretty good this year, but I'm not buying that. It's still a small sample on that. Good ballpark for home runs, even though they moved the fences back. So Yankees clear number 1. I do like the Blue Jays Red Sox game. You got 2 fly ball pitchers and 2 very powerful offenses. So I really like that game for home runs in particular. Getting a little bit different. Houston is the team I'm looking to. Wish the lineup was a little bit better. I would have loved them even more. And I like Minnesota a decent amount. I know it's cold there, but Pineda can give up some power, especially to lefties.
Maybe I misunderstood. You're talking about Baltimore moving their fences back tonight. The game's in New York.
It is. You're right. Yep, I misspoke on that.
Okay, yeah, because they certainly. I mean, maybe the Yankee Stadium they're going to move them back because of after that catastrophe. There's those 3 home runs. I'm doing air quotes. Again, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about it at all. I'm very bitter about it. Yeah. So, and then that's something we've seen. Like you talked about Baltimore's bullpen. has been better, and possibly because they moved those fences back. I think was it just left field? They moved the fences back. Is that right?
Yeah.
In Baltimore. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Let's go around the horn. Give our favorite plays. Actually, Andre, we'll just because somebody in chat was asking about Boston and that Boston-Toronto game where Ross Stripling versus Michael Wacha. It feels like both these guys have been around for like at least 10 years. I don't know if they have or haven't. Just maybe in my head they did. They're not, and their best form. Two pretty good offenses as well. Is that one of the, I feel like you can attack that game from both sides. Would you agree with that as far as both offenses?
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. I would definitely try to get a little bit of both sides of this game. I wouldn't even mind it being on one lineup as a game stack, which I know just sometimes is rare to do, but we've seen it at times where both sides of the game just has some a big score and happen in the winning GPPs. So I wouldn't even mind doing something like that today. And I like Toronto a lot today going against Michael Walker, but I love the Boston side probably just a tad bit more.
We get catcher on DraftKings. You don't on FanDuel. Devin in chat saying I'm such a curmudgeon. I guess that's not my intent. Do I come off that way? Maybe I do. I hope that's not what we're aiming for. All right. Catchers. I'll try to be very put a happy face on how good the catchers are. Look, man, Keith, how it can be gross some days, but as slates go, the catching guy you got a roster today on DK is it's really bad, right? Like who am I rostering?
Yeah, it's not great. I do think Travis d'Arnaud is underpriced, but that has him running into a ton of ownership. So don't love that for tournaments. I think d'Arnaud is your cash game guy. Zach Collins is still underpriced. Not a huge strikeout pitcher in Waka, so I like that one as a tournament pivot. But yeah, there's nothing really to pay up for. Like Contreras doesn't have the best matchup against Morton, and then it falls off really quickly. So yeah, there's not a lot to love here. Mitch Garver is the other guy I'll throw out there, but I think Javier is a talented pitcher too, so don't love that as much.
Here's my alert. Yesterday, I had some Collins I was watching, but he got pinch hit for, I believe. Like they played 3 catchers yesterday in Toronto. Today, Collins is DHing. Heineman is the catcher. So there's a chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and this isn't me being a curmudgeon or my paranoia necessarily, but I feel like there's a decent chance Collins does not stick around this entire game, especially if the Boston brings in a lefty. There's got to be somebody on the bench that's a better hitter. Collins isn't like this great hitter. So maybe they swap somebody in for him if the situation calls for it. Andre, you're focusing on FanDuel. You don't have to play any of these guys. Do you plan on playing? Has any name got you excited over there as far as catchers?
No, only person I'm going to probably try to get in my stacks only is going to be like Travis d'Arnaud. That's really about it. Other than that, and Zach Collins, and a little bit of Mitch Garver. So like just in stacks though specifically, those are the main guys I want to try to target for sure. And then Sean Murphy also, like if he's actually in the lineup, I don't mind getting a little bit of exposure to him too as well. Going against San Francisco, their pitching staff.
Let's get away from catcher. Catcher is gross. Let's talk about some first baseman. Andre, who we're gonna run it back with Rizzo, possibly, maybe. Like he's certainly in play. Vladdy, if you have the money. Awesome play every single day, of course. I think Aguilar is an interesting punt for the Marlins. I don't believe he's homered all season long, but historically, he's got a lot of power. And also, you're getting really, really cheap, especially on FanDuel. He's like 2.4K over there. Dahlback is another FanDuel cheapie that I think is in play. Do you have a favorite at first base?
Yeah, those are pretty much all the guys I like. A guy that I really like on the Angels is Jared Walsh going against Plezek. I love the Angels today. I think they're going to be since now everyone's like, I hope everyone's still going to be on Houston, and Houston's fine to me as a mini stack. But I'm going to use Angels. I think whatever ownership I was going to give majority to the Astros, I'm going to give directly just to the Angels now because I like the spot for him against Plezek a little bit. Jared Walsh, I think he's one of my favorites. I look for him to hopefully hit a home run today. And then I don't even mind getting a little bit of a guy from the Yankees who's always low owned for some reason, and that's DJ LeMahieu. I know we get Anthony Rizzo as well. I know they both are typically low owned, but DJ LeMahieu is a guy, he can play obviously multiple positions on FanDuel when he comes to first, second, or third base. which I like the flexibility of that. But obviously if you compare those two together in the lineup, that's ideal. That's perfect for me. So I would try to do that for sure.
If you want to stack up the Braves on DK, like there's a couple expensive guys, well, sort of expensive in Albies and Olsen facing Mark Leiter. What? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like Matt Olsen and Albies is another great option today.
The rest of that lineup, like I guess Atlanta again, still not as egregious as it once was, but DK still kind of pricing down. I know Keith mentioned d'Arnaud. Like you don't love d'Arnaud, but he probably should be a little bit more expensive on DK. What do you have, Keith, as far as first base? It's this Mlb character is 2K. Also can throw him in the outfield. I'm going to see what he did in the minor leagues because I do not know much about him.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either. Definitely let us know what you find there. I agree with everything you guys said. I think you pay up mostly at first base today. Vlad is great, the top option. Olsen would be my preferred tournament pivot. Love that matchup today for him against Leiter. Belt is another decent option. Blackburn, we think he's a better pitcher than we saw last year, and he has some elite skills as far as ground balls and walks go. But Belt has big power, so I don't mind him as well. In addition to Rizzo, but yeah, I'm mostly trying to pay up at first here.
Mlb, the bat really dislikes him for what it's worth. The Zips and Steamer has a little bit more positive spin, kind of a slightly subpar hitter at WRC plus around 92, 98. In the minor leagues, dating back to last season, let's see, he had 25 combined homers at AA and AAA. So, he walked a good bit as well, a little bit of speed, like a pinch of speed. So there's a little bit of pop in that bat. I feel like it's probably something I would more likely to throw him in the outfield than at first, but just if you need a 2K cheapie, he's there. I would also say that I don't know who else is available to get pinch hit for, but there is Tucker sitting in that bench. There's Gurriel sitting in that bench. And some of these guys may get the hook if the situation calls for it. All right, let's talk about second base. Keith, get us started as far as second. Who do you like?
All right. So Trevor Story is the price that jumps off in that matchup against Stripling. Stripling, a fly ball guy, can give up some homers. So I like Story and his power today. You mentioned Albies. He's another great option in the high range. Gleyber Torres is the cheap guy I would play. Just 3,400 over here on DK against Baltimore. Love the Yankees today. I think you can look at these Minnesota guys as well. I know the weather's not ideal, but you got Polanco at 4K against Pineda and Rise at 3,400. So I like both of the Minnesota guys as well.
I think my biggest off the board stand that I'm taking on this slate, and I'm going to be kind of chalky when it comes to pitchers if you couldn't tell, but I think my biggest tournament and it's not even off the board, but I'm going to play Jazz over Albies and those guys, and just I talked about it. I think I talked about it pre-show. I wrote up in Scores and Odds about how Jazz I think is really well positioned to steal a base today versus Fetty, possibly two. Fetty's given up 14 stolen bases dating back to last season, 140, 150 innings or so. Jazz has 4 this season. Part of the season he was not playing. Part of the season he was pinch hit for. Part of the season he was batting 9th. He's a willing base stealer. He'll steal 3rd as well. Also Narrative Street, I saw him and Lucius Fox, first time ever in baseball where 2 Bohemian-born players were playing in the same game. So they were hanging out for the game. I saw a picture of this on Twitter.
We got a little bit of a change in the Houston Astros lineup.
Is Tucker back in?
Tucker is back in, baby.
Oh, man.
What was going on? And where is he hitting? They put him first? You better be hitting first.
No, he's hitting
6th.
6th, yep.
Who show me the 5 Astros that are better hitters?
Actually, he's hitting 5th, I think.
Even still, I'm not as angry, but I'm still angry. Who's out? What do we have?
I don't know who's out.
Is Mlb out?
No, Mlb is in there. So is Pena. So is Castro and Diaz. I eliminated a lot of my player pool, so I don't know.
McCormick, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Tucker. Wait, he's hitting left on left. Alvarez left, Tucker left, 4-5. He's doing it. All right. Diaz, Mlb, Pena, and Castro. I'm trying to see who's not in there now. Brantley, Bregman. I'm jumping back and forth. Diaz, yes.
Diaz is in there.
Pena's in there. Siri, that's who got the bump.
Yes, no Siri. Yeah, no Siri.
All right. I'm excited. I mean, he's
Otto's not left-handed, is he? I'm pretty.
No.
Yeah, you said left on left. So
no. I meant to say like
lefty back to back.
Yes, like
I'm with you now.
Dusty
All
doesn't
right.
play.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll never play Alvarez and Tucker back to back, but he's doing that today. That's what I meant to say. But yeah,
Yep.
Otto, the palindrome throws from the right side. But and still, you're going to lead off Chas McCormick? Like really? If you're going to play, what are we doing? All right, I'm still okay. It's a compromise. We'll take it, I suppose. Who did not talk about second base? I think it was you, Andre.
Yeah, second base. Sorry. So pretty much, the Yankees guys. I'm indifferent on them. I'm gonna probably be a little bit low on them, just a little tiny bit. But I like Gleyber Torres today. I like now that Tucker's back in the lineup. I'm back on the Houston Astros about the same amount. I'm gonna probably also have the same amount of Angels too. But I do like Diaz a lot today. I like even though I'm thinking if I want to go to Chicago Cubs mini stack, but I know I do like Ian Happ, just going against Morton. I might even use him as a one-off, but I'm not sure yet. But I think he's a good play today. I do like also Trevor Story as well. I think he's a great option.
Checking out our ownership stuff. Am I right to assume that Chas is not going to be heavily owned? Like for an 8-game slate, I think people are going to go to Albies first, right? And the
For
other
sure.
spots.
Yep. I would assume so, yes. Yeah.
What do we have here?
It's only 11% on FanDuel.
3% on DK.
I got 4, so one of us has
Time to refresh again.
Dude, they're hard at work, man.
Ever-changing ownership. Absolutely.
And the Tucker thing is going to change up our ownership as well, too, because I imagine some shuffled off him to other guys, and now some's going to shuffle back.
He is way too cheap today, so definitely
2.7 on FanDuel. Like, what are we doing? Like, I think it's 2.7, right? I'm pretty sure. I mean, Jordan's too cheap over there as well. Jordan's 3.2. Like, come on, what are we? Yeah, those two just kind of jump off the page, obviously. All right, let's head over to third. Andre started us off as far as the hot corner. By the way, Angels lineup is out. Ward, Ohtani, Trout, Walsh, Rendon, Marsh, Mayfield, Stassi, and Wade. Andre, third baseman.
Did I say so? I'm trying to think that I say so before that wasn't in the lineup for Angels now. Oh, Walsh is in there. Okay, perfect. All right, so third base, I like Tyler Ward today. I like Alex Bregman a lot. Houston is going to probably be one of my top stacks now, for sure. Definitely. I like Rafael Devers as well, going against Stripling, lefty on a right-handed pitcher. I think Devers is going to probably. I mean, the weather is not going to permit him to have a monster game, but I think he's going to get a multiple hit game for sure today. I like the matchup for him for sure. Chapman against Waka is another good matchup. I like to take advantage of. There's a lot of third basemen that are honestly are great spots today. It's hard to just narrow it down to a small pool, in my opinion. I like Anthony Rendon too today against Pleasing as well. I'm gonna have pretty much a mixture of these guys. And then see how it works out with some one-offs and some of my stacks.
You know, we mentioned Riley on DK, probably a little bit too cheap at 4.1K. I like Devers' price also at 4.8. Chapman plummeted a little bit in that lineup. I believe he's batting 7th, but he's pretty cheap at 3.8. I don't really have somebody that like kind of jumps out, Keith, as far as third. It's just kind of like maybe like whatever you're stacking up, you play one of those guys. Do you have a clear cut like this is the best play at third? Because I don't.
I don't. If I had to pick one, I would go Devers as my favorite option. Like his matchup against Stripling there, like his chances to hit a home run today. I agree Riley is underpriced, but if I had the 700, I would go to Devers first.
What about the old leverage play? I know people like to overuse that term sometimes, but Ohtani is going to be getting a tremendous amount of ownership. And maybe talent-wise, the best third baseman is just not going to get played. And Ramirez there for Cleveland. You don't necessarily have to fully stack Cleveland. He's a guy, he can do it on his own, right? He doesn't need his teammates. He can bang one out. He can swipe it back if he wants to. How do you feel about Ramirez? Is he somebody you're going to get to, or you're just all in on Ohtani and that's that?
No, I think you definitely should play some Ramirez as a one-off in tournaments. He's an outstanding pivot, like you said, coming with almost no ownership. So I like that one a lot.
Let's see what we have as far as ownership for him. It's got to be like less than 10%, right? On a 5-gamer, we're looking at 6% on Fanduel, and 3.8 is actually a pretty good, like, Jose Ramirez price. He's a guy that's like been in the 4s before. What do we have him on DK? I think DK's got a full price over there.
He does.
Yeah. We're looking at 1% at 5.7K. Like, come on. I mean, you're supposed to roster more than 1%, I think. Andre, you got a take on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna definitely have some Jose Ramirez one-offs for sure. I like to play a lot.
Chat's saying, Brian asking in chat, why is Brad Miller hitting 9th? Yeah, I think he had a barrel yesterday, and geez, I had so many barrels that went for no points last night. The barrel account was trolling me. It's like, yeah, barrel. I think Justin Turner had a barrel that died like 450 feet dead center or something like that, 415. But yeah, I don't know why he's batting 9th, because it is another righty, right? Yeah, he's facing Christian Javier. Yep. He's probably only going to face him once, maybe is what they're thinking. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's less appealing, but nobody's going to own him, right? So what do you think, Keith, as far as Brad Miller? He's on third base.
Yeah, I think it drops his ownership a little bit. So I like the price tag. He's got some pop there for 3,500. I don't mind it.
Honor, you said you don't care that you're going to roster the Angels no matter what, even though you can't have Ohtani. Obviously, that's annoying. It's only been 3 years. We can't figure this out, sites. Seriously. Why can't we just hitter Ohtani, pitcher Ohtani? I don't know how this.
They chooses not to. That's all it is.
You think they have the ability, and they just like, nah?
Yeah, they definitely have the ability to do that. All of the foolishness stuff they do, they definitely have the ability to do it.
It's such a weird choice to make. If that's, I don't know. Maybe they just don't think the people. It's odd. It really is odd. But so you don't care. You're still going to roster some Angels. Yeah,
definitely for sure. I'm not gonna have as much exposure to him as I thought I was now, because the Tucker's back in the lineup, and I do like Texas a little bit too as well. But like Keith said at the beginning of the show, I'm gonna be trying to target these games that are in better weather conditions and better hitting conditions. So the Angels are in a perfect condition. I think they're playing in LA, in Anaheim, I should say. So, and the weather out there is pretty warm. It's the warmest of all these games, unless you're in Texas with the roof open. So I'm going to roster a pretty decent amount of Angels today.
So Izzy in chat is saying, laughing, LMAO, talking about why is Brad Miller, like, why is he plummeted to the 9-hole? Look at his game log, bunch of bagels. He's been sticking it up. There's no results. But Keith, if I go to like Baseball Savant and I look at his average exit velocity, he's in the 93rd percentile, 51 percentile as far as hard hit, barrel at 60 percentile. So like, how much do you care about stuff like this? Because I want the guy to be hitting the ball hard, and yeah, I think he's going to snap out of it based upon this.
Yes, I agree with you, and it baffles me that major league managers can't sit here. Like, we're sitting here in our offices looking at our computers and we can see this stuff, but major league managers either don't care about the data or just don't look at it. And that's frustrating to me. It blows my mind.
Well, because Tony La Russa's like 80. He doesn't have time. You think he's got a laptop? Like, some of these guys, like, just get rid of one. I mean, it was a good run. Yeah. Let's bring in some young,
throw Madden and Dusty Baker in that group too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love the new Dolphins head coach. Have you heard this guy talk? He just seems. You guys was McDonald? I can't remember the guy's name, but he's just
it's McDonald. I haven't heard anything though.
Yeah, he just seems like he's just got a different perspective on things, and he's open to all sorts of analytics. And he's the guy that ran a Debo. So let's have this guy as a running back. That seems like a good idea, and that worked out pretty well. I don't know why I'm derailing the but just like, fresh blood. I don't want to get on a USFL rant, but like, if your goal is to get like new eyes to watch a brand new league, maybe not hire a retread and Jeff Fisher who's going to run the ball 78 times. People don't want to see that. I'm not watching Seriously. Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Give me a league where, like, like college football, they're not as talented, but at least they'll open it up and they'll throw the ball around. And there was 23 straight runs, I think, one of the games. I don't know if that was the Fisher game or not, but I'm not watching Jeff Fisher. Not doing it. He might go 8-8 or 4-4. I don't know how long their schedule is in USFL. But yeah, I'm just on a rant. That's what we're doing here, Andre. Who's with me?
Oh god,
We're with you. Yep.
Any Jeff Fisher fans out there lurking?
No.
Dave Wanstead, like those types. Like, man, give me the fresh blood. Give me somebody new. I don't want the retread. Take a chance. Anything else that's worth talking about here? But what else is the chat's up to? They're talking about, we learned Brad Miller's nickname yesterday, which was important. Do you remember that, Keith, by chance?
Why, of course. Yeah, Bamboo Brad.
There you go. Yeah. Bamboo Brad he let us down, but I think he's another one of those guys that had a barrel yesterday. It just didn't work out. That's just how it goes. All right, let's jump to the outfield, Andre. And one of the reasons why I'm kind of sort of derailing the show, we're here for like the next 25 minutes or so. So I'm trying to buy some time. If you guys are in chat hanging out, please feel free to fire off some questions. If you're in the YouTube chat, hey, hit that like button, do subscribe, turn on notifications, whatever is on your brain. If you have any like general baseball philosophy, DFS thoughts or questions, no questions too stupid. Certainly when we're trying to kill 20 minutes, no questions too stupid. We're going to do the stack game soon enough. Obviously, we'll talk about some, but we'll have plenty of time to entertain all your questions. I know producer Steve is compiling some, throwing them my way. Devin is lurking as well. If you guys are in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel, that is a free channel. That's where some of the conversations going off. Now the conversation's split. Some people are on YouTube, some people are in Discord. I know for a while we were giving away Discord, anybody hanging out in Discord, a 1 week free to RG Premium. I don't know if we're randomly doing that today. Maybe not. Let me know, Devin. Maybe we'll give away a week free of RG Premium to get the people yapping, get the people talking. Yeah, the chat's like, feel free to lose focus. I feel like I'm on focus. My focus is to derail the show and buy time. Got a decent job of that so far. That's subjective, though. Andre, fire off some outfielders.
Okay. Well, Brad Miller was someone I was going to mention. I do like him today, even in that 9 spot. And he's going.
Did we skip shortstop?
Yeah, I guess I've done a terrible job in staying focused. I rescind my grade for myself.
Dean talking about how we have too much time and he's just skipping positions here.
Yeah, okay. I guess we should do shortstop first. My bad.
Okay. Corey Seager. I would have a lot of him. He's just in a great position today. Carlos Correa, if you're grasping some people from the Minnesota game, I don't mind them as a secondary sack. So like Carlos Correa, so I definitely want to try to target and get to a lot of. I mentioned Trevor Story at second base, and then you can still use him in shortstop as well, Bogarts as well. I think it's a nice option. And your guy that you mentioned before, who you got to be on board with, is still the bases, Josh Chisholm.
Let's do it. By the way, it is worth doing. I know you're concentrating on Fanduel mostly. He's like 2.7 or 2.8 over there. Like that's an awesome price. He's 5.3 on DK, so it's a little bit trickier. He's now like cheaper than Bichette. I'm sorry, he's more expensive than Bichette, more expensive than Bogarts, more expensive than basically everybody on DK. But on Fanduel, Seager, just an awesome play. If you're playing cash games, I would assume he's got to be in that lineup. What do you have, Keith, as far as your favorite shortstops?
Yeah, on DK, it's a little bit different because the pricing is more appropriate. Seager's up at 5,300, still like him. Bichette and Bogarts, I prefer over him a little bit more. They're coming with the ownership as well, but I think both of them are in great spots. Talked about the power in this game and liking home runs, chasing home runs. Those are two guys I'm going to do it with. Dansby Swanson is the guy that's mispriced on DK, 2,700. He's hitting in the 9 hole, which isn't ideal. Yeah. But he's got some pop here for 2,700. Brandon Crawford up at 5,100. Another guy, like I don't want to stack against Blackburn because of his control and ground balls, but I'm fine chasing a home run off of him. It falls off pretty quickly after the top guys. I don't mind Correa. The weather's not perfect there. But yeah, I'm going to be pretty chalky at shortstop with Bichette and Bogarts.
Yeah. And by the way, Devin in the YouTube chat just said, yeah, we'll give away 1 week free of RG Premium. How do you go about getting that? It's really, really not that difficult, especially if you happen to have a Discord account. Go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. You do not have to be an RG Premium member. Of course, that would make no sense because that would be redundant. If you already happen to have RG Premium, why would you win 1 week free? Yeah, just go ahead and click that bell. Somebody randomly will be chosen to click the bot to get 1 week free of RG Premium. That's not just for baseball. All the tools that you see us showing off that we're referencing throughout the show, Cheese's article, the rankings and all that good stuff. You can use the optimizer. the ownership stuff, for all the sports, football, USFL. If you're into Jeff Fisher, you get that. MMA, which I know Keith, you do some premium MMA stuff, right? I believe.
Yep, I do the expert survey weekly for it.
There you go. PGA, of course, all the sports with the exception F1, all the sports with the exception of NASCAR. That is a la carte. That is a niche product. Otherwise, you get everything else for free for 1 week. Just jump in the Discord channel, the live stream chat channel on rotogrinders.com/Discord. All right, now, Andre, outfielders.
Like I said before, Brad Miller, I was going to mention before, I do like him today a lot. So, and actually, he's my whole run off the board, whole run call of the day. I think he's in a great position today, going against Javier for Houston. So, actually, I like that game as a whole too. So, like even like you're going to go with like Willie Calhoun or Cole, or even Cole Calhoun too as well. I don't mind taking the chances of those guys as well in the outfield. Obviously, you go with the Yankees guys if you want. If you're a fan of being overweight on them, I'm going to probably be underweight on them a little bit. But like obviously Gallo, Stanton, Judge, these guys they have the upside. I like guys like today more so like Mike Trout, Marsh, Ward, the Houston guys in the outfield too as well. And so the Boston guys. And I don't even mind taking and I know I'm going to be high on Montgomery tonight for sure, but I don't even mind running a little bit of Baltimore out there, like Santander, Mullins, Cedric Mullins, like just in case, you never know what can happen. So it's going to have the best, probably like a mini stack, I would say, as far as those guys in the outfield. And you obviously run it with Trey Mancini, who plays, I think, first base, if I'm correct, on FanDuel.
Some of your outfielders you like, Keith?
Yeah, Judge and Stanton, the Yankees, love that stack. Going to have plenty of them coming with a lot of ownership. Springer as well. Like him a good amount. The pivots I like in the top range. Yordan Alvarez, as Dre mentioned, love those Astros. Byron Buxton, always a great option. Don't mind JD Martinez as well. A little bit cheaper stuff. Love Alex Verdugo today, hitting in the 2-hole for Boston. He's only 3,400. Lourdes Gurriel, another Blue Jay, I think has a good chance to hit a home run today. Michael Brantley, underpriced, another Astros guy. And Max Kepler, a guy that I think has a decent chance to hit a home run off of Pineda, even in the cold. And Joey Gallo, he got it done for us yesterday. Got to go back to him.
Yeah, not for me. I barely had him, and I didn't have Rizzo in my Yankee stack. If you couldn't tell, I didn't have Rizzo yesterday.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I got a bad poker face, apparently. I'm pulling up the expert survey. Let's answer the expert survey. Sure, why not? Keith, I'm going to ask you first. Let's just some of the questions you get answered. Your favorite hitter for optimal lineups? You have a favorite? This is my favorite hitter in the slate, and that's that.
I will go Aaron Judge today.
That's a good one. Dave Potts, Jesus good. He answered the same one, so that's a good one. That's a good answer to have.
Good guy to be on the same page with. Yep.
Yeah, he seems to know what he's talking about. How about you, Andre?
It's tough for me, but I want to say Mike Trout.
Yeah, well, Stevie said Mike Trout. So it's funny, we all have a different answer. I put Tucker because I was factoring in salary and all that. How about your favorite hitter for like a large field tournament? This is like factoring in ownership, I imagine, factoring potential upside. Does your answer change, Andre?
Well, yeah, Mike Trout's gonna be popular, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to change it a little bit. Favorite hitter tournaments is probably gonna be Brantley.
Yeah, well, you're trying to be 20,000 people. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, how do you be a little bit different? That's why my answer for this was Jazz. I got Jazz because I think he's going to be fairly low owned, and I like you catch him on the right day, you get a nice little upside. How about yourself, Keith? Do you have a favorite hitter for a large field, massive contest?
Yeah, I'll go Yordan Alvarez, like both of your guys as well too.
Favorite pitcher for optimal lineups? I think is it unanimous? Is it Shohei? And that's that?
Unanimous.
Yes.
Favorite pitcher for large field contest. I thought this was interesting. This was actually unanimous, but I don't feel passionate about it. But Keith, we all put Joe Ryan.
Wow.
I'm fine saying Pablo. It's Pablo Lopez. Like, I don't know. And it sounds like Andre likes Montgomery. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to separate themselves in the field. As far as salary savers, we want to read this whole entire thing, but I mean, Fanduel specifically, we've kind of touched on it a couple of times about the Corey Seager price is 2.8 over there. He's just too cheap. Marcelo Ozuna is too cheap on DK. A lot those Braves in general. Stanton is 2.9 on Fanduel. Tucker is 2.7 on Fanduel. How about this one, Keith? The player you are most concerned being underweight on, like the guy, like, I'm deathly afraid of not having enough of X.
So I'm going to take a decent underweight stance on Charlie Morton, but there is absolutely a chance that he is still around a 28% strikeout guy against a not great Cubs team who strikes out a fair amount. So Charlie Morton is my answer for that one.
So just on that, Eric has got a question in chat. It looks like he's playing the DK 3 max entry. It says, I don't like Morton tonight. Believe he's getting old and losing it. Better strategy to just fade him or build a stack against him. I don't think you have to pick it. You don't necessarily have to pick on him, right? Just not play him.
Yeah. The Cubs lineup isn't great. And even if Morton is only a 20% K rate guy instead of a 28%, he's still a talented pitcher. So I agree. I'd just fade Morton. I don't think you need to stack the Cubs.
Yeah. And if you want to do that, I think you do that in a bigger tournament, right? You don't do it a 3 entry max, I think.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Definitely.
How about yourself, Andre? Do you have a player that, like, you for whatever reason, not that you don't like him necessarily, but it's just not working in your builds? Somebody you're going to be underweight on, and you're just afraid that they're gonna crush your night.
It's more of a team with this Yankees. So
oh no,
I'm just afraid of being underweight on them, but I'm going to be because I know that they don't produce in these spots where they're chalky. So I'm just going to rely on that motto and just hope that I'm right.
Does somebody tip them off? Like, does Judge know that, like, he's heavily owned this evening? He's like, okay, I'm just going to chill then? Like, how does that work?
I don't know. I just know that it happens way too often. I've been burned way too many times.
Yeah. All right. We'll do our favorite stacks in a second as well. I do see some questions popping up also in chat. Yeah, let's see. Talk about Montgomery. Did you have a take on this, Andre? I know you're in a state where you can legally wager on things. Montgomery 5.5 Ks. Do you have a thought over or under 5.5 strikeouts for Montgomery tonight?
Over.
There you go. Edward Scissorhands cut my hair. I mean, it was free.
It was free.
Yeah, we just had the Clippers at home and whatever. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so this is actually a good strategy question. Ravens is asking, Keith, thoughts on like a spread out stack. We talk about correlation all the time with stacks, and there's more correlation 1, 2, 3, 4, or as opposed to like 1, 6, 9. Well, 9 and 1 would be good, but you know what I mean. Like 2, 4, 6. Like, are you okay doing that? Like, I think that's fine, right? Like, how much do you care about them being sequentially in order?
So prior to this year, I cared absolutely zero about it because I think the purpose of stacks were home run hunt. Like you want the home runs too. Like that's how you score the most fantasy points. And home runs had been trending upwards for several years. This year, I don't know. I haven't considered it yet in anything that I've done, but I think if we continue to see the trend of down offense and down home runs, I think that I will start considering it a little bit more. But I have not to date. But I think it needs to be on the radar if the offensive trends continue down.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it's going to warm up, and eventually that's going to, hopefully. But at this point, we care about tonight only, and tonight, like you said, a lot of the spots aren't great for weather, and that's a good thought. Andre, do you have anything to add to that?
No, to me, I play whatever I feel is the best order. Honestly, like I don't have any type of specifics. I like to typically do have like two to three guys back to back, and then maybe having one guy that's well off, like towards probably like the primary, like the back of the lineup, back half of the lineup if I'm running guys a lot from the top half, or vice versa. So it really just depends.
Andre, Kevin in chat's asking about Khalifa. I assume he's talking about Isaiah Kiner Khalifa batting 8th for your Yankees. If we're going to power rank the Yankees, he's probably not top 6 or 7 as priority. How do you feel about Khalifa?
He's not even my player pool.
Yeah. I mean,
that's an only in stacks button guy for sure.
There you go. That's a good call. Yeah. If you are going to play him, you probably don't play him just by himself. Good point to make there. Let's do that. Let's play the stack game. Why not? We got 10 minutes to kill before we got Roth, STL Cards, and Derek Carty jumping in about 10 minutes or so. They're going to take you guys home. Whatever questions we don't answer, they will be happily answering them for y'all up the lock. Fanduel sponsored. Crunch Time is free this entire season. Roth will tell you what's going on weather-wise, although I don't think there's anything to panic about just yet. Let's power rank the stacks. Or just put a number on it. 1, you hate it. 5, you love it. 3, you're kind of sort of in the middle. Keith, what's your take as far as the Yankees?
I'm going to go 4 on them. I think they are on paper the best stack, but there are some guys with higher ownership. So I probably won't get to the field on them, especially guys like Judge who are catching a ton of ownership. But I do like the stack. I'll play plenty of them.
What is he getting? Like 30%? What's the ownership number on Judge? I think it's probably even higher on FanDuel, just the way the price and the slates. What's the number, Andre, where you're like, you know what? I don't care who that person is. I'm just not playing that percent because it's baseball and weird things happen. Is it like 35, 40%? What's that number?
Probably like 30, yeah, probably about like 35, 40%.
What do you think, Keith? Is that about right? 30, 35? What's the number where it's just too high? I don't care how good, how bad the pitcher is, how good the ballpark is, all that stuff.
Yeah, that 40% range is probably where I'd be at, where I'm just going to fade him and hope that he doesn't burn me with 2 home runs. It's always scary when it's a guy like Judge who has that ability and does it quite often. But yeah, when you get into that 40% range, you start thinking about not playing him at all.
Keith, Jason's asking in chat, how do you feel about the 4-2-1-1 stack? Is that good? Is that bad? And like, it's hard to answer that without context, obviously, but like, you know, of course, 4-2-1-1 can get there. But that seems like something you don't like doing. I'm hearing you speak.
Yeah, I think just rather than trying to find that one-off, it's easier to just include a 5th guy in your stack. If that team is going off, there's a good chance that all 5 of your guys are putting up some points. So I think it's just the correlation is a little bit easier to find slate to slate rather than trying to find the one-off who hits you a home run.
Are you more likely to do 4-2-1-1 if it's like a 3 or 4 or 5 game slate as opposed to like a 10 game slate? I assume that's true.
Yes. Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. Andre, I mean, is there a chance you'll play 4-2-1-1? Or are you putting in rules where you're just not even doing that?
I do 4-2-1-1s. I do that pretty much a good amount, a decent amount. I say like typically I would say about between 20 to 35%. Like tonight, I'm going to run 35% 4-2-1-1s.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with it too. And the less games, the more I'm going to be okay with it as well. Let's do a 2v2. Dad of 5, Andre wants to know, pick one side or the other. We got Charlie Morton, doesn't say tournaments, doesn't say site, but, you know, do the best you can to work with us. Yeah, feel free to add details. The more details, the better, easier it is to answer. But Andre, we got Charlie Morton and Gleyber Torres, or Jordan Montgomery and DJ LeMahieu. I have a feeling I know where you're going.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
I like the strikeout upside for Jordan Montgomery a lot against the Baltimore Orioles. And then also DJ LeMahieu is going to be low owned today. And he's kind of always the forgotten one, but there was a point in time, I think, a couple years ago when he was in the MVP conversation. How quickly do we forget about that? And when he hits the ball consistently. So I like the fact I think he has a chance to put the ball in play every time he's up at bat, and he's a good leadoff hitter. So, especially going against a guy like Wells. So, that's what I will go with today.
I like that we're getting strategy questions. This is another good one that, like, I think it's a kind of obvious answer, but maybe it's not obvious if you haven't played a lot of baseball DFS. Keith, how often would you match your bats with your pitchers? Meaning, if you're running 4-4 stack with the Twins or 4-4, stack Yankees with Montgomery. Like Ryan with Twins, Montgomery with Yankees. Personally, I don't care about that. Do you care about that?
I do not care about it. I think the reason you would want to do that is you're chasing the win equity of your offense, putting up a bunch of runs. Your pitcher has a more likely chance to get a win. But in today's baseball, we just don't see that many pitcher wins anymore. So I don't consider it at all.
Well, I just opened up the thing and now I'm on. I clicked the button. This is why you don't click buttons. I clicked the button. And now I'm like watching the stream. Okay, I think I still see people talking. That's good. All right. And Andre, do you agree with that? Do you not care? Like, whatever. I mean, I guess it's fine. And there's some, you don't go out of your way to make sure you have the pitcher if you have the stack, right?
Yeah, no, I don't go on my way for that at all.
Let's see. I didn't get a number from you, Andre, as far as the Yankees, and I know you're sort of conflicted because you like the Yankees, but I assume you like the Yankees, but you're not playing them for reasons, which I get. Yeah,
I'm gonna say about a 3. They're gonna be just outside my top 5 as far as stack wise today.
Who's in your top 5? Let's see. Let's play the feud here. Keith, me and you are gonna try to guess Andre's top 5. You ready for it?
Yep. Houston's definitely. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'll yield. I'm yielding. You go ahead. Houston, it's got to be on the board, right?
Houston is back in there with Tucker for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, they did the hokey pokey. I think you got Boston in the top 5.
Yep.
Devin trolling me in the chat about clicking buttons. All right, so yeah, it's on you, Keith.
All right. I'm gonna go Texas. I think he likes the warm weather.
Yep.
So, I don't have the Angels, but I know he likes the Angels. So I'm going to say, if anything, this just shows that I'm a good listener. So I'm going to say Angels.
You're right. A good so far.
One more for the clean sweep. I'm going to go Toronto.
Exactly.
There it is. Keith, I don't know if you happen to have a top 5 off the dome or whatever. Is that more or less yours? Who would be in? Who would be out?
I would say that is precisely mine. I'm a little bit lower on Texas, I think, but I still do like them. They would probably be more like 5th for me, though.
Wow. Yeah, and I'm probably gonna play a little bit of Fetty just because I'm probably gonna have too much Marlins. I don't like the weather there. It's not looking. I mean, the ballpark's good, and that's the tricky thing, right? Because the same deal with Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium's a good place to hit. The wind is blowing out, but it's also pretty cold. And does all that stuff add up to a wash? Right? It's 52 in New York. The wind's blowing out 17 miles per hour, kind of sort of dead center. What do we do with that, Keith? Or we just ask Roth because we have no idea.
Yeah, ask Roth is always a good answer. But
I'm give you guys a little thing with the weather because I live in New York. I live outside. I live an hour outside of the Bronx. But
okay,
just an hour ago. I saw little snowflakes. That's how cold it was.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. All right. That's not ideal. I guess it'll warm up a little bit as cool off, I guess.
It's supposed to be nice. It's gonna get colder.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm from Florida, man. It's always hot in Florida. It's just different degrees of hot. Let's pick some homers with that in mind. As far as talking about the Yankees, give me 3 different dudes, Keith. At three different price tierings. Who's gonna bang out some homers tonight?
All right. I will go Yordan Alvarez in the top range. Give me Austin Riley in the middle, just a little bit too cheap on DK. Great matchup with Leiter. And give me Max Kepler as a cheapie. Cold weather, but Pineda has lost his strikeout stuff a little bit. I like Kepler to get one in the air.
He was great against the Yankees when the Yankees were chalk. I think they were chalk that night, right? Right, Andre? I believe they were. I think at least I had them.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no. How do you give me 3 homers, Andre?
Well, obviously, I'm gonna go with Mike Trout as my top guy. I like at the bottom. I think it was Brad Miller. I think Brad Miller's 2.1K if I'm correct, right?
I think he's pretty cheap
on Fanduel. He's definitely someone I like today to hit a home run. Yeah, it's 2.6, but I like him for to hit a home run at the bottom of that lineup today. And then I'm gonna go with I like Yordan as well, but I'm gonna go off of that and go with Jordan Walsh.
All right, Tucker's gonna
Aaron Walsh, sorry.
They messed around with him in and out and the whole deal. I think he's gonna prove Dusty right for putting him back in the lineup. For whatever reason he wasn't in, but I think Tucker, the chalky dong, and then Jazz Chisholm. He's gonna jack in the bag. He's gonna bang one. He's gonna swipe one. He's gonna hit one out, and he's gonna swipe a bag. That's my bold call today in the expert survey. You never really know. Hey, Keith, how do you feel about one-offing a chalky catcher? Eric's asking about that, like d'Arnaud, and it's just so bad today. Are you okay with doing that if you land on playing just d'Arnaud and nobody else in Atlanta?
I don't think I would do it. I know catcher's really bad, but still, I mean, unless he's the only Brave that hits a solo homer or something, I would rather play him in a stack. I don't know. When you're getting 3-1 on ownership lists like Zach Collins, I think I'd rather pivot to Collins.
Yeah, I'm just now nervous that Collins is going to get pitch hit for, because that's, I can't help but think about these things, and he's DHing. But I don't know. It's all garbage at catcher. Like it's also possible, like no catcher puts up more than 10 points, right? Like that's possible, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't hate completely punting it either. Like play Trevino in your Yankee stack. Like I'd much rather correlate my catcher than play the chalky one off.
Jason made a reference to the Floby, which is amazing. You guys don't know what the Floby is, do you?
No.
Nope.
As a child, I loved infomercials. And the Floby is it's a haircutting apparatus that you hook up to your vacuum. Are you sold? Do you want one of these?
So that the hair doesn't go all over the place, or what?
No. It sucks, literally, like it sucks the hair off your head. Like, it kind of like sets at a certain level. You set up to the vacuum. It was called the Floby. It's a real item. I'll send you. I'm sure there's a link. And, I don't think I've ever had a Floby haircut. You could argue it looked like I have.
Oh my gosh.
But the Floby is a real thing, man. And they sold like millions of those in the 80s, I believe. But yeah. And Wayne's World made a joke about it because they had the suck cut in Wayne's World, if you ever saw that movie. But now I'm just making references that are really, really old. There you go. Chuck in chat. He knows what I'm talking about. He mentions the Wayne's World as well. Is there any other? I saw a couple other questions. What are the Yankees team ownership looking like? So Keith, you're better at this than I do. I don't know how to find this out. Is there way of like an official number? You got to eyeball it basically.
I know the Bat has stack ownership numbers, and I think Slate IQ has. I know we had some issue with the data imports on Slate
Correct.
IQ, so we haven't officially put that out yet this year. But I believe the Bat has stack ownership. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, that's where I would look. Like if I wanted something like that, my understanding was a Slate IQ as well, which coming soon. I don't know. They're still tinkering on it, I suppose. But yeah, Derek in chat says I always wanted a Floby. There you go. Not a moment too soon. We're gonna get the crunch time, guys. Good Lord, I feel like the last 20 minutes we're just all over the place, man. We're doing our best to kill some time. Talk to me, Kevin Roth. Talk to me, STL Cards. And Derek Carty. I don't know if Carty is in the room just yet, or if he can even hear me. But if there's anybody I want to see using a Floby, or may have had a Floby as a youngster, Carty, do you know what I'm talking about? You know what the Floby is?
I don't think Carty is here yet, and there's a 0% chance he knows what a Floby is, because I might not even know what a Floby is.
It was the apparatus you hooked up to your vacuum and you give yourself a haircut.
Okay, that is what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Yes, okay.
It came up. This is not a totally random question. It came up organically during our show.
Okay, wait. Let's all take bets. Does Carty know what a Floby is? I vote no.
I vote yes. Yeah, people always reference his hair. Somebody once I'm sure somebody makes a Floby joke to him every once in a while, like an old person. Cards, weigh in on this. This is very important.
I'll vote yes as well. It would have been a no for me. That's not a surprise, but I bet Carty knows.
Probably with the way his hair is. Yeah, I would say that.
Carty's like a computer nerd. He has no idea what anything pop culture related is at all.
There's like a 3% chance he's using it right now, and that's why he's late. So Roth, I thought we were gonna have like a bunch of time to kill, and like I wasn't sure exactly we were gonna coming in, and like there's no weather tonight. Well, you told me there's no weather. Last I saw, there's no weather issues.
Yeah.
And what was the game you played yesterday? Like baseball player or like a lawyer or something like that? It was
it's just baseball player and then fill in random name, and I have to pick. Is this like I think yesterday was baseball player or someone who signed the Declaration of Independence.
Yes. Yeah. So I got inspired and I made a little game. I don't know if we have time for it because
we've got time. We've got a minute to kill.
Oh, wait, we got Carty. I don't know if he can hear us or not. Derek Carty, this is a very important question. Think about it before you answer. Do you know and have you used a Floby? What is a Floby?
I have literally no idea.
Yes.
What is a Flomy?
Well, no, it's not. I don't know what a Floby is.
Oh, man.
What is
it?
it?
A Floby is the apparatus you would hook up to your vacuum, and it would give yourself a haircut, and it would cut it at like a very precise length.
Wait, your vacuum cuts your hair?
Yes. You want
it was
one?
like a 90s thing, right?
I've never heard of this before.
Oh, there's an infomercial and everything. I'll send you the link. I'll drop it in chat when I get off air. The people will like it, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know if they're still available for purchase. But I feel like it's like something you could have bought like a QVC or something like that. But there you go. You've learned something new today, Carty.
He's so offended, that face.
All right.
I'm not saying you need one. I was just asking if you were aware of
I mean, it can't do that good of a job, can it?
I don't
Especially
know.
if it's 90s technology.
Right.
There's one way to find out.
Right.
So according to Chuck in chat, Con Air sells them still. So they're still available for purchase. So maybe we'll buy ourselves a Flowbee and see how that turns out. Can't get any worse than this apparently, but yeah, according to the chat. Roth, I'll just wet the beak and we'll maybe later on, we got to step aside and get out of here. But
yeah,
I did consult TJ. I was inspired by your game yesterday. TJ knows a lot about comic book superheroes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So baseball player, current or ever, like ever baseball player or super villain.
It's great. Can we play? Can we play at least one round?
I got a couple for you. We got to step aside, but I got a couple for you. It's an 8-game slate. You got plenty of time.
Yeah.
But all right, baseball player or super villain. And TJ helped me out with this.
I feel like Jazz Chisholm is coming, and I know that's a baseball player.
No. I'm not making it that easy for you.
Okay.
Oil Can Boyd.
I'm sorry. I'm going to need you to say that name again.
Oil Can Boyd. Baseball player or supervillain. Oil Can Boyd.
I have no idea. I think that's a baseball player because like he's an oil can. That guy's an oil can. Seems like a thing baseball players would say.
Carty, you can confirm, right? You know who this is.
I don't know.
Before your time?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
You were buying yourself a you're making a purchase.
I was trying to find myself a Flowbee.
Oil Can Boyd was a pitcher for the Red Sox, the Expos back in their day, and the Rangers, according to the Google.
There you go.
Yeah, I've never heard of him, if that's what the question was.
We'll do one more.
Yeah, bring one more.
I got one more for you. Razor Shines, and that's with a Z if that matters. Razor Shines. You want to factor that in with a Z?
Yeah, Shines is with a Z or Razor is with a Z?
Razor, the Z. R-A-Z-O-R Shines.
That sounds like a super villain. I think that's a super villain, right?
No,
that's a baseball player.
It sounds like someone would name their kid Razor.
Right.
I would have voted for professional wrestler on that one.
Man, that's a baseball player.
That is a baseball player. He played for the Expos, who once existed. I made a whole list, but maybe we'll knock out more later on in the week or some other time. But there are some villains in the mix.
Okay. If Razor Shines would have been a good one, but all right.
Awesome name.
Okay, excellent stuff. Dino, you wanna tag out, and I'll take it over from here.
Yeah, we're getting out of here. FanDuel Crunch Time, sponsored by, coincidentally enough, sponsored by FanDuel, and for one day only, the Flowbee. It's a dual sponsorship. The Flowbee also sponsoring Crunch Time today. Kevin Roth, STL Cards, Derek Carty. Take it home.
That sounds good. I did Google Flowbee price, by the way. I was just wondering, can I get Carty a Flowbee as a gag gift? That's like $300 for the Flowbee. So sorry, Carty, I'm not sending you a Flowbee for $300, but maybe we could pool our money together and make that happen. Hey, joined by a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. Flowbee himself, Derek Carty, CEO and creator of the Bat. What up, Carty?
The intros are usually a little better. CEO, mastermind, whatever. Now it's Mr. Flowbee himself, whatever that means.
It's going downhill quick. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're excited to have you.
Well, I guess.
Yep. And we got STL Cards as well. Cards. I'm imagining you were kind of splitting work here, digging into baseball, but also some PGA work, right?
Yeah, we've got a new tournament this week, so it'll be a little bit of more of a crapshoot than usual for PGA without a whole lot of data to go off of. It's also a pretty ugly field this week, so a good week to maybe dial it back a little bit. But hey, we're going to keep a good day rolling. We're going to win some money tonight. The Cardinals won this afternoon. My son is getting recognized at the local school board meeting tonight for Student of the Month, so things are going well in the Van Zuiden household today.
Excellent. Congratulations to Little Cards. That's good news. I do want to mention a couple things on PGA real quick. One, weather is not going to be a factor at all. It's quiet in the mornings. It's a little breezy in the afternoon, but it's fine. And it's the same on both Thursday and Friday. So even if you try to take advantage of it, you couldn't. Two, our PGA value breakdown from TJ is it's free for anybody today. So you check it out. If you go to Rotogrinders, if you're freeloading Rotogrinders, go to the PGA drop down. You can find it right there, the PGA value breakdown. So if you're looking for more content on that, certainly we have it for you. Also worth noting, check out the Fanduel 125K Wednesday MLB Squeeze Contest, $15K to first, $4 to enter. You can also sign up for the Fanduel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. New users get a risk-free bet up to $1K, and Fanduel Sportsbook users take advantage of that. They get their first bonus after their first time bet. So if you get the bonus after the first bet, that's a good deal right there. Terms and conditions apply. With that, gentlemen, let's dive into this slate. Carty, feel good about what we've got going on here?
Yeah. I think this is a pretty solid slate. We have, definitely some good high-end pitching options, some solid offenses. So yeah, we got a good slate today.
Okay. No weather concerns to mention, but there are some pretty big disparities in temperatures as far as good spots, bad spots. Areas like let's see, Minnesota is around 40 degrees. Winds are blowing in. Those are spots that are significantly better for pitchers than hitters. New York, also cold. It's 50 degrees, but we've got a strong wind blowing out to right center in New York. I'm talking 15 to 20 miles per hour. So I do think that's going to be a little bit of a bump to bats there as that wind is blowing out to the short porch. I saw somebody, was it Rizzo last night, hit a home run that was like the most nonsense.
Rizzo hit 3 home runs last night with an average distance of 350 feet. That's the first time that's been done since home runs have been measured. So, the 3 home runs that all kind of barely cleared the wall is pretty wild.
Yeah. And now, if it's a shorter distance to hit a home run, then the wind matters even more as a percentage as far as like how much it will carry. So I like that 15, 20 mile per hour wind blowing out in New York. That's really it as far as weather. Everything else is digging into the weeds. So let's talk about this slate in general. Carty, start us off with some pitcher talk.
Yeah, so we have 3 pitchers today projecting for over 20 points, 20 DraftKings points. FanDuel points, 3 guys projecting for over 35 FanDuel points. Shohei Ohtani is the guy who projects the best. I would imagine he's going to be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate. He's really, really, really good. He's facing this Cleveland Indians offense that is one of the weaker offenses on the slate in baseball. Not like super strikeout heavy, but it's not like there's no strikeouts in this lineup either. So Ohtani in a really good spot, not like overly expensive, especially on DraftKings. A little more expensive on FanDuel. So I think over there, you can definitely make the case to save a little bit of money with Jordan Montgomery, who actually projects not that much worse than Ohtani, and you save 1.5K on FanDuel. Montgomery is just like a sneaky great pitcher. I think people are starting to realize it a little bit this year maybe, but he's really, really good. And the matchup today is strong against an Orioles offense that's just not especially good. And then the other guy that projects well is Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan is another young guy who projects the bat just likes his talent level in general. He has a good matchup against Detroit today. They are the second most strikeout heavy offense on the slate. And so Ryan projects quite well. The guy that projects for more ownership than Montgomery and Ryan is Charlie Morton. He's fine. Like the matchup's okay against the Cubs, but you mentioned there's a few temperature like extremes today. There's 2 games that are like hot. There's 2 games over 70 degrees today. One of them is this Braves Cubs game. So I don't see any reason to roll out Morton when he's not like a big strikeout guy to begin with, when he has this weather disadvantage kind of working for him. Yeah, so for me, I'd just take Montgomery or Ryan ahead of him, either in cash or certainly in GPPs where they're going to be lower owned.
Okay, easy enough. Anyone else you want to go to, like, off the wall plays in GPPs, or that's it for you, Carty?
You can definitely make the case for guys in GPPs, like a guy like Jacob Junis, especially on DraftKings. He's 6K. He's against Oakland, who's just the worst offense of the entire year. And they strike out, most strikeout heavy offense on the entire slate. He's going to come in probably behind Sammy Long, who's going to open for a couple innings. So Junis will be more in line for a win. He's only going to throw 75 pitches probably, which is not awesome, but the matchup's so good. The price is so good. I do think he's viable.
Okay. All right. Let's kick it over here to cards, and I want to get your pitcher takes as well. Both DK and Fanduel, of course, our sponsor.
Yeah, on Fanduel, they make it a little bit more of a thought as to whether or not you want to play Ohtani because he's 10-5, which is, if you take Pablo Lopez out, it's 1,300 more than the next pitcher on the slate. So you do have to pay a little bit of a premium to get Ohtani. He's still, a guy that you want to have exposure to in GPPs, because even if he's only going 85 pitches or so, we saw it in his last start. He can rack up the strikeouts. Cleveland's offense has been good to start the year, but they're kind of gradually starting to regress a bit. And everyone, expected the 5 bottom 8 offense when the year started. So I still think Ohtani's the number one. It all comes down to, in GPPs, do you want to fade him just because he's the chalk? And to me, I think maybe the best spot to get a little more different in GPPs tonight is with the bats. I don't think you have to get too cute at pitcher. There's just a lot of low upside, potential gas can type situations out there where I'll probably play it straight a little bit more with the pitchers this evening. So the guys that I'm targeting are basically the same guys that Carty mentioned. I will be a little overweight on Joe Ryan. I don't mind taking some shots on Pablo Lopez, especially on DK with multi-pitchers. Washington does not have a good offense either. Lopez has been really strong through his first 3 starts. Washington has a 3.2 run implied team total tonight. And he's not going to project as well on a points per dollar basis because he is overpriced. But that also has his ownership down in that, on FanDuel, we've got Lopez at 6%. So he is one guy that you could maybe spend up to be different at pitcher tonight, because almost everybody that's going all the way up is just going to play Ohtani. So I do have probably double the field Lopez in my GPP lineups. Outside of that, all the low owned guys, I really can't. Eric Fetty, I guess.
But he's the cheap, weird, bad guy that I think is really viable tonight. I do like a lot.
Matchup. The total in that game is 7. So both pitchers in that game, I could see one of those guys having a good outing. But I'm not going to Blackburn against San Francisco. I'm not playing Stripling or Glenn Otto or Plesac or any of those guys. So it's basically sticking with the top guys in GPPs. Maybe get a little bit different with the bats tonight.
All right, let's talk about stacks cards. By the way, your Lopez analysis there did answer a question that was already in the Slack. If you guys have questions, drop them in the Slack. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. Cards, talk about some of your favorite stacks tonight.
Yeah, I think the most popular one, so we've got basically, if you look at the top 7 owned guys on FanDuel, we've got 2 Toronto guys, 2 Boston guys, and 2 Yankees and Mike Trout. So that's it's about right. So the Yankees, Toronto, Boston will be the most popular teams tonight, and with decent reason. But we've seen offense, just teams have been struggling to hit home runs, to score runs. You can talk about the baseballs all you want until we're blue in the face. So we have seen a few more runs over the last few days. But again, I think it's a night where you can get a little bit different in tournaments. Atlanta never seems to get the ownership of those other teams, but they're facing Mark Leiter Jr., who's just been awful. Atlanta's got a team total, that implied team total in based on the odds is higher than Toronto. It's higher than Boston. It's right there with the Yankees, right around 5 runs. So Atlanta would be kind of my 1B to all those top offenses. And I think the Giants are another one. And this is going to be a little bit polarizing because some people are a believer in the surge from Blackburn for Oakland. I take a little bit more of a wait and see approach with him. Nobody ever likes to play the Giants. It's a 9:45 game. Their lineup just came out 5 minutes ago. But you've got less pinch hit risk right now with some of the guys that, the whole lefty righty thing. Yeah, Jock Peterson might come out late in the game, but he's been swinging the bat really well. And I want to see it a few more times before I'm going to just say that Blackburn's not a guy we could target bats against. So the chalk ones are obvious: Yankees, Boston, Toronto, Atlanta, and San Francisco would be my two favorite next spots in tournaments.
All right, Carty, anything that you differ with there?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him on the top offenses. I think the top offenses tonight are pretty condensed. Like there's not a clear best. Like the top 6 or 7 or 8 are like all basically the same. So I think play the ownership game, like Boston's fine. The Yankees are fine. The Braves are good. But like after you get past them, it looks like the Rangers, the Astros, and the Angels are probably going to come in lower owned than, Jays, Red Sox, Yankees. So they would be the ones that I would have more interest in just because they're basically the same and they're going to be lower owned, it looks like. So Texas, Houston, Angels.
Okay. Let's go position by position. Carty, you can lead us off with a little catcher talk.
Yeah, catcher. So the Braves are, I think, the top offense tonight or right up there. And Travis d'Arnaud is hitting 5th for them. He's 3.3K on DraftKings. I think he'll probably be the chalk option tonight. And for good reason. Like you save money. He's a good hitter. He's in a great offense, a great environment. I don't see a whole lot of reason to stray away from him. You could, I guess, consider playing like Zach Collins again, who's hitting cleanup for Toronto. I don't think, Toronto projects, I think, is like the top owned offense or the second owned offense. They project, again, they're all pretty close, but they don't project like the best by a lot. They project like 5th or 6th for the bat tonight. Again, super condensed. So like Collins, I think is fine. But I do think in general in GPPs, Toronto will probably be a little bit over owned. And then if you want to save money, Jason Castro looks like a pretty solid option. Again, I like Houston as a stack. I think he's good as a one-off. He's 2.4K. He's in this spot for Houston. That Houston-Texas game is the other game where it's going to be over 70 degrees. The roof is open. It's close to 80 there. There's 12-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field. So, I like Houston quite a bit, and Castro is very affordable at catcher.
All right, Carty?
Carty, you want Carty to talk about catcher twice? It was so good.
I don't even want to do it the first time.
Here's the
catcher
why
twice.
do you pair me up with Carty and Cards on the same show? Every single time I have to pause and be like, all right, Carty, Cards. It's just too damn similar. Cards, please take us into some more catcher.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot more at catcher. Those are your options. I don't mind Sean Murphy in GPPs. Basically the one Oakland guy that's shown some life with the bat. And he's really expensive on DK, so more of a contrarian play for tournaments at 4,600. But don't hate that if you're looking to get a little bit different. But you don't need to do that in cash games. I think you're probably going with Collins or d'Arnaud there. But spending up to be different, again, a little bit of an option here at catcher with guys like Garver and Murphy, I think are fine for tournaments.
Okay. First base.
All right. First base tonight is a spot where I think ownership could be spread out a little bit, which is a little bit weird. On DraftKings, usually you get a few guys that stand out that are going to get a ton of ownership. And, Vlad will be the most popular, but at 5,800, we've got him at 24% ownership. I certainly think he's fine. The Toronto righties are in a good spot against Waka, who's had reverse splits for basically his whole career. So, the righty Toronto power guys are going to get attention. But other than that, I mean, we have a whole bunch of guys at 5, 6, 7% ownership. If you want to chase the 3 home runs with Rizzo, again, I think if you're over 5K, you're just playing Vlad. Or again, Brandon Belt in GPPs. I mentioned I like the Giants. He's super expensive, particularly on DraftKings, but certainly a guy that I think you can play either in your Giant stacks. He'll have a little bit more ownership on FanDuel, where he's a little bit more reasonably priced, but Vlad is probably the top option. Belt and Olsen probably close behind. You could punt if over on FanDuel. Aguiar hitting second for Miami is 2,400 if you're looking to go cheap at first.
All right, Carty, first base.
Yeah, I agree with Cards. I think Vlad is clearly the top guy if you're spending up. Matt Olson for the Braves, another one of those good weather games, is great. And Bobby Dalbec is, I think, the way to go if you're saving money at first base tonight.
Second base.
Yeah, so Trevor Story is the top option tonight. And, the Red Sox are one of those top offenses, probably top two. He's pretty affordable on both sites. He's leading off. He's 3.3K on FanDuel. He's 4.6 on DraftKings. But he's a high-end guy. You have other, 5K, second baseman like Ozzie Albies that are fine. Jazz Chisholm is fine tonight. It's a really good stolen base spot. It's weird that he's so expensive, but he's one of the top options tonight. But yeah, Story, you get a little bit of a discount on, and he's kind of the top option anyway. So I like him quite a bit. If you do need to save some money, on FanDuel, I really don't think you have to because Story is just cheap enough. But on DraftKings, you do have Luis Arias hitting second. You have Gleyber Torres for 3.4K. You have Aledmus Diaz potentially in your Houston stacks. Jack Mayfield's 2.3K. I guess I don't know if we have a lineup there yet, but assuming he's in the lineup, he's definitely a way to kind of punt it or to make your Angel stacks affordable.
Okay, Cards.
Let me look there. I'm not sure if that lineup came out or not. I was gonna refresh and try to get it on the fly, but I'll get it.
It looks like it's out. So Mayfield's hitting seventh.
Okay, so yeah, second base. Story is going to be the most popular tonight because of the price. FanDuel 3,300. He's 800 less than Albies. He's cheaper than Chisholm and Albies on DraftKings as well. Shout out to the Marlins for finally realizing that their best hitter shouldn't be batting ninth and moving Chisholm into the leadoff spot. And he's been taken off ever since then. So I know he always frustrates DFS players, but if you're looking for a punt at the position, Gleyber Torres, 2,300 on FanDuel, 3,400 on DraftKings. But my favorite guy, particularly in GPPs, is probably Albies here.
All right, third base.
All right, third base is where you're going to see the chalk with the offenses that we've mentioned as the top ones. Atlanta, you've got Riley. Toronto, you've got Chapman, who will maybe carry a little less ownership because he's hitting seventh. You've got Donaldson for the Yankees, and you've got Devers for Boston. Basically, you're probably getting a third base option from one of those chalk offenses tonight. Throw Bregman in there as well. Houston won't be as popular, but he's certainly fine. And it's probably a spot where you're going to be looking to spend up a little bit. I was maybe looking at Brad Miller as a cheaper option on DK, but he's batting ninth, so he's only 300 less than Chapman anyway. So you might as well just get to Chapman if you're there. A Rendon, a decent option for tournaments as well.
Okay, Carty.
Yeah, I'm with Cards here. The four guys he mentioned, Chapman, Devers, Riley, Donaldson, are great. The one other guy I'd throw into the mix, especially on FanDuel, would be Taylor Ward. Ward has been pretty incredible this year. He's obviously playing over his head, but he's a decent hitter. He's hitting leadoff for the Angels. It's a good spot for them tonight. He's fairly inexpensive. So I think Ward is especially in GPPs, a good way to get different. And even in cash, I think he's fine.
All right. Shortstop.
So on FanDuel, Corey Seager has been really cheap recently. He's 2.8K on FanDuel tonight, and this is the hottest game of the night. It's almost 80 degrees. Christian Javier is a good pitcher, but he's not fully stretched out yet. So he's only going to go, I forget, 75 pitches probably or something like that. But really, Seager's just way too cheap for this environment and his talent level. Bo Bichette is also obviously going to be totally fine. Xander Bogaerts is going to be totally fine. Dansby Swanson is going to be fine. On DraftKings, where you're not getting that crazy stupid discount on Seager, you're probably just playing one of those other three guys. or Dansby Swanson is the cheap guy there, 2.7K. So yeah, that's kind of shortstop, I think.
Okay. Cards, anything different?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Again, another spot that looks like a spend up spot, though you can't like the cap on, particularly on DK, is always a little bit more difficult to navigate. So getting to Seager, where Seager is 5,300 on DK. So just a big difference with that price at 2,800 on FanDuel and 5,300 on DK. It just makes it a spot where on DraftKings you could start to run into some salary cap issues if you're spending up at a good chunk of the other positions. So I don't mind just trying to get a punt here, like Swanson at 2,700, even though he's batting ninth. You're probably going to have one guy in your DraftKings lineup that, maybe feels a little uncomfortable as far as a punt goes. So whether or not shortstop's the spot where you take that hit, I mean, I'm fine with Bogarts and I'm fine with Seager, but again, you can't spend up everywhere. And this is the spot where the projections for those guys don't pop as much as some of the higher end guys at the other positions. So the opportunity cost in theory is a little bit lower. Like the top median projections for these shortstop guys are maybe 9 points as opposed to 10 points or 10.5 points on DraftKings, or comparatively the same on FanDuel. So this is a spot where maybe you can punt and get away with it. So I like the top guys, but if you need the salary relief, I don't mind going cheap here.
Okay. That brings us to the outfield.
Yeah, the outfield tonight ownership's going to be pretty concentrated because it kind of builds itself. So it is a little bit site dependent. So Houston's lineup has undergone some renovations since it was first released. Tucker was not in the lineup originally, but then Siri got scratched, so Tucker's back in there. So Tucker's 2,700 on FanDuel. He's going to be chalky over there. Chas McCormick leading off is 2,600 on DraftKings. He's going to be chalk over there. Ozuna's cheap on DraftKings for about the 15th consecutive slate. And then on FanDuel, Judge and Springer aren't overly expensive, and Stanton's only 2,900. So you're going to see people going on FanDuel, Tucker, and then maybe one of Stanton or Judge and their other favorite spend up option. On DK, you've got McCormick on the cheap. You've got Ozuna on the cheap. You've got Lourdes Gurriel fairly cheap on DraftKings. Verdugo is another option. Adam Duvall is only 2,500. So this is definitely a spot where maybe you get your favorite spend up, and then there's a whole bunch of cheap guys. But what that does, the ownership will congregate on the best of the spend up options. So it's going to congregate on Judge and Springer and then all these good values, where it's a night where you're getting a guy like Buxton at single digit ownership on both sites. We've got Buxton at 9% on FanDuel. We've got him at similar on DraftKings. I trying to navigate back and forth between both sites, but point is he's under owned about a third of the ownership of Trout and Judge at the top tonight. So don't be afraid to get a little bit different with that spend up outfielder tonight, because the opportunity cost is higher at that position, and you're going to see people navigate to the same chalk.
All right, Carty.
Yeah, I mean, Cards really just did a perfect rundown of it. He kind of glossed over Duvall, who I really like. I think the Braves are going to be owned tonight, but I think he's kind of going to get lost in the mix, and especially in GPPs. He has some of the best power on the team, so he only projects at 8% ownership, where a lot of these other guys are over 20. So I like Duvall quite a bit. I like Jesus Sanchez quite a bit as a power one-off. I like the Astros guys. We mentioned kind of Tucker and McCormick, but Yordan Alvarez, especially on FanDuel, like these guys don't project for that much ownership, but I do like all these Astros guys quite a bit. I like Joey Gallo. Once again, like people just think Gallo's bad. He finally homered, but like he's literally the same guy he's always been. And if he's going to be 7% owned on FanDuel, like give me so much Gallo.
Yeah.
And and Mike Trout. Cards, I don't think talked about him too much, but he's obviously one of the top options today, one of the best cash plays, and will probably be fairly owned.
Okay, excellent. Let's lightning around some QQs, guys. I'm going to start with Tom. He says, DK Cash, Cards, I'm making you work for this. Your best outfielder, 2,600 or below.
This was DK Cash?
DK Cash.
I mean, I presume this person already has McCormick, who's exactly 2,600, but if not, he is the far and away best play. Duvall would probably be right there as well. So one of those two guys, if you don't have them.
Great. Carty, FanDuel cash from a side. Devers, Alvarez, or Donaldson and Vlad?
Probably Donaldson, Vlad, but they're both good choices.
All right. FanDuel cash cards, Riley, Tucker, or Donaldson, Springer?
I would lean towards the first one, but that's pretty close. I do like the second one for tournaments.
Bates, Carty, third base, FanDuel cash, Ward, or Chapman?
They're both good options. I have no problem either way. Ward's a little bit cheaper if you want to save some money. They're both good.
Great. DK cash cards, McCormick or Duvall?
I like McCormick a little better. I feel like Carty might tell you Duvall based on his comments a minute ago, but so it's close between them.
Yeah, I thought McCormick was like 100 over that threshold. He wasn't. So I mean, they're both really good. They both project the same. You can play both of them.
Great. Okay. King says DK GPP, Ozuna or Gurriel straight up, Carty.
Ozuna for sure. Gurriel's not good.
Okay. All right. Dan Jan says cards is a Marlin stack with Lopez in a DK GPP getting too cute.
Probably. I'm not going for the Marlins full stack tonight, but I think you could do a little mini stack of the couple of the guys at the top of that order.
Excellent. All right. MB says, Carty, any love for a 1% Jose Ramirez?
I mean, he's fine. He's obviously, probably the best, the most talented third baseman. You're going to get him really low owned against Ohtani. You're going to get some leverage. He's overpriced. He doesn't project as well as the actual top guys, but he projects okay. Yeah, at 1% ownership, I don't have a problem with him.
Great. All right, we got a double DK GPP question coming in. So cards, you can have the first, and Carty, I'll give you the next one. Actually, Carty, cards, you can take both of these. Favorite low-owned stack that could break the slate, and do you like the 5-3 stack or the 5 stack with 3 power bats?
Yeah, I think the 5 stack with 3 power bats is definitely in play tonight. When you factor in ownership, the stack that I'm overweight on compared to the field the most is definitely the Giants. So I hope they're the one that can break the slate that aren't going to have a ton of ownership. Plus, it's the late game, so you get the late night hammer there. So yeah, and then I like the 5 stack with the 3 power one-offs tonight. You get, obviously 3 home runs from those 3 power one-off guys, and then that's the stack that ends up winning the slate. That's how you get yourself, $50K or whatever the big first prize is tonight.
Right. Okay, great. Steve-O coming in with a Carty-specific question because it is with his favorite thing. He says, Carty, what are your thoughts on Soto going against Lopez with the BVP on his side? Parentheses, he says, I know we're supposed to hate BVP, but I mean, it is on his side, better than being against him.
It's not on his side. It's irrelevant.
Well,
I'm
so, yeah.
I have a BVP related story. That'll be a post-lock story.
Right. What are your thoughts, BVP aside then, Carty? Soto going against Lopez?
I mean, it's a similar situation to Ramirez that we just talked about. Like, he's the best hitter in baseball. He doesn't project as well as some of these other top options today. He's still expensive, but he projects for 1% ownership. So yeah, you can definitely do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually caught up on all the questions. So I will note, if you haven't checked out Scores and Odds, you should. All of your trusted Rotogrinders companions and a whole bunch of other sports bettors getting together, getting in some of those sports betting picks. Your number one place for all things sports betting. Check it out. Daily expert picks, analysis tools, making you a better sports bettor. I even put in a bet today. So you can go get yourself some weather bets over there on Scores and Odds as well. Tom says, hey, Carty, DK Cash, best SP2. Who's your fave?
I mean, I guess this is assuming Ohtani is your SP1.
I would think so.
It's definitely Montgomery for me.
All right, Cards, you got a different answer?
Not for cash games, no.
Yeah. Okay, great. Less than a minute until lock. So we have done the things, gentlemen. You got a little BVP story for us there?
Yeah, so Carty's going to have a sit down with my son at one point because yesterday I got a text it was 2 days ago. It was when the Cardinals were facing Scherzer, and I got a text from him on his way home from school, and it was a screenshot of all the Cardinals BBP against Scherzer, and then he followed it up with a comment, well, they're definitely going to lose because look at all this. And obviously Scherzer's very good, and I think Paul Goldschmidt is like 5 for 40 with 20 Ks or something absurd against Scherzer. So I just instantly thought of Carty and obviously I was kind in my response to him, but I got a nice chuckle because it was all the BVP numbers against Scherzer. And so, yeah.
Wait, how did it end up? How did they do versus him?
So they did not score off of him, and the game was scoreless going to the 8th. The Cardinals got 2 in the 8th and then gave up 5 in the 9th. It was the brutal loss of 2022 so far. They had 2 outs in the 9th with a 2-0 lead. Arenado made an error. Then the pitcher failed to cover first base, all with 1 out to go. He was like crying. I've created a monster, and it's real endearing to me, but it was sad that they blew that one. So I put my hand on his shoulder and said, this is going to be the first of probably about 6 or 7 of those that are going to happen throughout the year. So it's April. Let's take a deep breath, and hopefully they'll win tomorrow. But
we got 162 of them. So
you're right. It's a long season.
That's a great teachable moment, though. Did you sit him down and tell him all about sample size and variance and fun stuff like that?
What he would do is pull up the little ESPN win probability chart and say, see, it was 97%. It was 97% and they lost. That's just not fair. Well, that's going to happen 3 times out of 100. So we got the one out of the way, but they won this afternoon. So it's, recency bias. It's all good now.
Right. All right. Hey, we did get a few more questions and just lightning round these and get out of here. CLT says, hey, I missed SP. Was Junis viable as a PLR per Carty and STL in a DK GPP?
Carty mentioned him, so I'll let him talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that he's not fully built up. He's probably only going to throw 75 pitches, but it's a really good matchup, and he's really cheap, so I do think he's viable.
Okay. Dan Jam, Boston stack in a DK GPP cards?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm fine with Boston. They are going to be a little bit chalky. So if you are doing that in a large field GPP, I would try to surround that with maybe a low-owned power bat or a lower-owned pitcher.
Raymond, FanDuel GPP, Last Man and Soler or Kepler?
Soler for me.
Any thoughts on Gim in DK GPPs? Gim? It looks like Jim.
That's a golf question. And I'm a big – who is it?
How have I not heard of this guy? That's why.
Who is it? Who asked the question?
The Wise.
Yeah, he's always in. It's our tradition with the golf chat. I am a Doug Gim homer, and I talk about him every week. So you're in. I'm in. You're in on Gim. I'm not in this week. He's a little too expensive, but that's okay.
Okay. J Sam's. We got just 2 more questions left. J Sam's FanDuel single entry cards. Would you prefer Calhoun or Brad Miller in your Texas stack? I've got Garver, Seager, Lowe.
Yeah, I would not play Miller since he's batting 9th. So he would be the guy out for me.
Great. And then last question of the day from a side FanDuel cash, Morton versus Monty. Who would you have chosen straight up?
Monty.
Bam. Done. With that, we've given all the information. We have answered all of the questions, and it is time to get on out of here. So for Cards, for Carty, for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.